Chapter 1739. Mu Yen smiled. Don't worry, if we can't hunt the vicious beast directly, we can first cut off its claws, pull out its teeth, and then it won't be too late. What do you mean? Although I don't understand what it means, Junior Marshall Sisters' expression is too similar to Third Senior Marshall Brothers. Hee, I have a feeling that someone is going to suffer. Speaking of which, what has Third Senior Brother been doing in seclusion all this time? I didn't even see a shadow. As they spoke, the identity tokens on their bodies began to ring. Yun Ruhan asked, "You want us to gather at Tai Square again?" It must be that Jiang Taihong. What the hell is he up to this time? What the hell is going on? Won't we know once we take a look? Sure enough, as soon as Mu Yen and the others arrive at Tai Yi Plaza, they see Jiang Taihong standing in the middle with a sinister expression. This time, Jiang Taihong didn't reveal any arrogant or excited expression. Instead, he looked at the students and teachers who arrived one after another with a straight face. His eyes occasionally flashed with struggle, but in the end it was replaced by malice and resentment. Especially when he saw Meng Baichuan coming over, his eyes were filled with resentment. The moment Meng Baichuan landed, he immediately pointed at Jiang Taihong and cursed, "What the hell are you doing? Who gave you the right to torment students again and again?" Jiang Taihong did not answer him. Instead, he glanced at the Tai Square and realized that all the students and teachers of the Starry School had basically arrived. Only then did he open his mouth and reveal a sinister smile. "I've warned you before. Don't go against the Tian family. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. But you don't listen to me, and you insist on protecting those people from the All-Cade institution. You only have yourselves to blame for ending up like this." The expressions of Meng Baichuan and the branch deans beside him changed when they heard that. "Jiang Taihong, what did you do?" Just as he finished speaking, a blinding light shone from the center of the School of the Emperor Star. Then, the matrix that enveloped the entire Starry School disappeared. Jiang Taihong threw away the shattered jade slip in his hand and glared at Meng Baichuan with a twisted expression. "You forced me to do this. The position of dean was mine to begin with, but you just had to snatch it away. I could have been on good terms with the Tian family, but you just had to destroy it. So, don't blame me for being ruthless. I was forced by you. I just want to borrow the Tian family's hand to take back what I deserve." The next moment, countless spaceships descended from the sky. Dozens or even hundreds of Xiuzha wearing the clothing of the Tian family came down from each flying ship. All the students and teachers were shocked, unable to react to what had just happened. Mu Yen, on the other hand, slightly frowns. A cold glint flashes under her lowered eyes. When all the flying ships stopped, the Tian family cultivators immediately scattered. Some went to destroy or take away all the spaceships parked around Tai Yi Square. There were also some who sealed off the School of the Emperor Star to the outside world. The students and teachers in the square were in a state of panic. Shocked and angry, they wanted to stop him, but they were stopped by hundreds of Golden Core cultivators. In an instant, the School of the Emperor Star became an isolated city. Luo Tian swaggered down from a luxurious spaceship and sneered at the teachers and students who were ready to make a move. "You guys better not act rashly. Otherwise, if our Tian family cultivators were to accidentally injure these students and cause them to lose an arm or a leg, I'm afraid you'll be the one to feel heartache." Chapter 1740. This sentence was a blatant threat. Even if the golden elixir cultivators of the Tian clan could not stop everyone, some students would definitely fall into their hands. Could they just watch these students die and not save them? Meng Baichuan suddenly leaped up and slapped towards Luo Tian. Dense spiritual qi surged in the air. The attack was overwhelming, and Luo Tian's face revealed a trace of fear. However, Meng Baichuan's attack was quickly blocked in midair. Boom! With a loud sound, the two figures separated in midair. Meng Baichuan's body shook after he regained his balance. Then, he stared in disbelief at the person who had just attacked. Jiang Taihong, what are you doing? Jiang Taihong smiled sinisterly. Meng Baichuan, you don't know what's good for you. You've offended the Tian clan and dragged the Starry School into an irrecoverable state. It's time for someone else to be the Starry School's chief. Luo Tian calmed down and laughed immediately. Headmaster Jiang is right. The headmaster of the Starry School should be replaced by someone with virtue and ability. Headmaster Jiang is not bad. When this is over, I will definitely report to the clan leader and let Headmaster Jiang take over the Starry School. Then I will rely on the Tian clan in the future. Jiang Taihong was overjoyed and walked to Luo Tian's side, looking like he was going to protect him. Meng Baichuan and the Starry School students all had ugly expressions. The dignified deputy headmaster of the Starry School was actually so servile to a lackey of a clan. Such a scum was a disgrace to the Starry School. The smile on Luo Tian's face becomes more and more complacent and carefree. He leisurely walks in front of Mayan, his shifty gaze sweeping over Mayan and the people of Yaoguang branch behind her. Jun Mayan, can you think it over clearly now? If you sign a 100-year contract with the Tian clan immediately, we can retreat immediately. If you are still stubborn, then don't blame us for letting the entire Starry School die with you. From now on, the entire school of the Emperor Star only allows people to enter and not leave. Every hour, if you still don't agree, we'll kill a few Starry School students. As for who we'll kill, I can't guarantee that. We'll see who's unlucky enough to lose their heads. The Tai E Square was silent for a moment, and then there was a sudden burst of noise. What right do you have to commit murder in Starry School? That's right. Aren't you afraid that the entire Azure Blue Realm will punish you for killing people as you please? Do you still have the law? Law? Luo Tian laughed heartily. My Tian family will soon become the overlord of the Azure Blue world. If I want you to live, you will live. If I want you to die, you will die. What was the law? Ha ha ha. Very soon, our Tian family will be the law. However, his gaze swept across Mu Yen, and his lips curled into a cold smile. Our clan leader was originally also a venerable to the Starry School, and he wanted to recruit the students here for his own use. Who asked someone to not know what's good for them and offend our patriarch? Don't blame our Tian family for being ruthless. If you want to blame someone, blame those who overestimated themselves and implicated your people. Moreover, if they give up resisting now and sign the contract with the Tian family, wouldn't everyone in the Starry School be fine? Luo Tian's words caused many people to look at Mu Yan's group. Chapter 1741. Sworn to live and die with Starry School. 1. A female voice suddenly screamed from the crowd, Jun Mayan, Ling Yuxing, are you really going to watch the entire school be implicated by you? If you still have a conscience, shouldn't you stand up and sign the contract yourselves? Mayan looked in the direction of the voice. It was indeed Ouyang Mingzhu who would point out the fifth senior brother. Ouyang Mingzhu strode out of the crowd and pointed at them, saying righteously, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and say that you're willing to sign the contract. Mayan said slowly, what if I'm not willing? You're so shameless. Behind Ouyang Mingzhu, a skinny woman and a short and fat man jumped out together, shouting, everyone, this has nothing to do with the Starry School. It's all because the people from the Yaoguang branch offended the Tian clan leader. That's why all of us are in trouble. If it were me, I would definitely stand up and be willing to reconcile with Tian clan. But they're so cold-hearted. He would rather watch our academy's students die. Shouldn't we take the initiative to expel such a scum from the starry school? Mayan glanced at the two people who were speaking. They were actually acquaintances. During the tri-school tournament, the two students from the Audiobook branch who urged everyone to remove the Xiaoyao team from the tournament. Now it seemed that the two had a close relationship with Ouyang Mingzhu. Ouyang Mingzhu cried, "Yuxing, you've always been a kind person. Even if you have to sacrifice yourself, you'd never be willing to implicate others. Why have you changed now? Just treat it as me begging you. On account of our childhood friendship, why don't you give in? Tian clan is also one of the top clans in the Azure Blue world. If you go there, it won't be a disgrace. Why are you just willing to agree?" The three's words indeed resonated with a portion of the teachers and students in Tai Square. Especially the students and tutors of the Audiobook branch, there were even a few who agreed. They hurriedly urged Mayan's group to immediately sign the contract with Tian clan so that innocent people like them would not be implicated. Some even suggested that they did not need to wait for Mu Yan and the others to make a decision. They could just chase everyone from the Alcade branch out of the starry school. Jiang Taihong looked at Meng Baichuan mockingly. "Do you see that? This is the general trend. Are you really going to sacrifice all the students of the starry school for just 7 people?" Meng Baichuan's face turned pale. He wanted to stop them from cursing, but he felt as if something was stuck in his throat. If he had to sacrifice other innocent students in order to protect the students of the Alcade branch, wouldn't he have failed in his duty as the dean? Luo Tian watched as these people coordinated with his performance and felt an indescribable joy in his heart. Because he knew that if this went on, then perhaps he wouldn't even have to use force, and he would be able to resolve the matter perfectly. However, what they didn't realize was that there were only a few people in the entire plaza who were shouting for Mu Yan and the others to sacrifice and scram. Most of them shut their mouths tightly while their expressions were cold, solemn, and oppressive. It was like the calm before the storm. Luo Tian raised his chin and looked at the people of the Yaoguang branch with a condescending look. "Have you made up your mind? Are you going to immediately submit to the Tian clan?" "Submit your ass." Ling Yuma jumped up and was about to beat someone up, but was stopped by Mu Yan. Chapter 1742. She smiled faintly and said, "In that case, the 7 of us from the Xiaoyao school will leave the starry school together." Before she could finish her words, a shout came from the crowd. "I don't agree to expel the people from the Alcade branch from the starry school." Qi Ninglu from the Tianxian branch said. "I don't agree either." Su Yingbua from the Tianquan branch also stood out. What did the people from the Alcade branch do? Why should they be sacrificed? Why should they be expelled from the school? The young man from the Tianshu branch who had always been by Ouyang Qing's side also walked up. "If our lives can only be saved by sacrificing innocent students, how can we continue living in the future?" Chen Ping and Wu Gui, who were loyal to Yi Liangchen, also spoke up. "When the Xiaoyao team won glory for us, we shouted that they were our classmates. Once there's a bit of trouble, we denied all responsibility. We can't do such a shameless thing." More and more students started to stand out. Some were from the inner school, some were from the outer school. Some were from the freshman competition with Mu Yan and the rest. Some had listened to Luo Yunxiao and Di Mingju's lectures in the Alcade branch. Some of them had once argued with Mu Yan and the others and had disagreements. Some were loyal to Yi Liangchen and the Xiaoyao team. More and more people stood behind Qin Onlu and Su Yingbua, who were the first to speak. Slowly, the crowd was divided into 2 groups. Behind Qin Onlu and Su Yingbua was a dense group of students and teachers. Their eyes were firm and their expressions were determined. There was fear and panic on their faces, but most of them were determined not to turn back. On the other side, behind Ouyang Mingzhu, there were only a dozen people. After seeing this scene, some of them even looked ashamed and wanted to sneak behind Qin Onlu and Suingbua. Ouyang Mingzhu's face, which was originally full of pride, instantly turned into anger out of humiliation. The faces of the people behind her were all flushed red, wishing they could find a hole to hide in. Qin Onlu looked at them in disdain and said coldly, "None of us are unafraid of death. However, you tried to sacrifice your companions' lives and benefits in exchange for your own survival. I, Qin Onlu, am ashamed to call such a person my classmate. Yes. Since you're so afraid of death, isn't it easy for you to survive? Why don't you just drop out of Starry School? The Alcade branch is a part of the Starry School. June Mayan and the Carefree team are all students of the Starry School. They fought for Constellation and won glory for us. Now, someone actually wants to expel them. I won't agree even if I die. Damn it, I may not be a hero, but I'm going to risk my life today. Damn Tian family, if you want to take away our academy's students, then you'll have to step over my dead body. Yes, we swear to live and die with Constellation today. You want us to sacrifice our companions to survive? Dream on. The positions of the Starry School's teachers and students changed again. The dense crowd surrounded the 7 people from the Xiaoyao sect, not giving them any opportunity to attack. The tutors and branch deans of the Starry School stood up spontaneously and stood at the front of the crowd, protecting their students. With tears in his eyes, Meng Baichuan leaped and landed in front of all the instructors. Using his spiritual power to amplify his voice, he shouted, "If you want to touch the Constellation students, you'll have to do it over my dead body." Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 1743. Xiaobao's Reinforcements. 1. Protect our companions. We swear to live and die with Starry School. We swear to live and die with Starry School. When they saw the Tian family army land, heard Luo Tian's threat, and Ouyang Mingzhu's questioning, the expressions of the Xiaoyao school people did not change. However, at this moment, when they saw the Starry School students surrounding them and using their not-so-strong bodies to shield them from all the attacks, their eyes turned red one after another. Mu Yan pressed her hand on her chest. Something seemed to be boiling and burning there. When she first entered Starry School, she only wanted to find Xiaobao to kill time and learn something. Entering the Qingyun ranking, participating in the glorious heavenly light, and shining in the tri-school tournament. To the Xiaoyao school people, it was just a pastime. However, their casual actions were remembered by the students of this academy bit by bit. They saw the Xiaoyao team as the pride of Starry School. They saw Yi Liangchen as the symbol of Starry School, the boss they respected and admired. Facing a desperate situation, they clearly had a chance to escape. They were so weak, but they still stood in front of them and wanted to protect them. Suddenly, Mu Yan heard Luo Yu's hoarse voice. I feel that for the first time, I'm proud to be a student of Starry School. Yes. They were students of Starry School. Swearing to live and die with Starry School was not an empty promise. Mu Yan took a deep breath and forced the warmth in her eyes away. She pushed the crowd aside and walked forward slowly. Luo Tian didn't expect things to turn out the way he wanted. He looked at the group of students with a sinister gaze. Just as he's planning to kill someone to frighten the tiger, he sees June Mayan coming forward. He rolled his eyes and couldn't help but sneer, "What? Seeing so many students sacrificing themselves to protect you. June Mu Yan, you finally found your conscience and stopped going against Tian clan. Don't worry. As long as you sign a 100-year contract with Tian clan, we will not mistreat you. We will still give you a few hundred top-grade crystals a year." Ha ha ha. But if he still wanted the treatment that the patriarch had proposed at the beginning, it would be a daydream. Mu Yan faintly smiled, and said unhurriedly, "Unfortunately, I don't want to choose either of these two paths. You don't want to choose. Luo Tian's face darkened. This is not up to you. Either you pledge allegiance to my Tian family, or you watch helplessly as your classmate dies because of you. You don't have a third choice. No, we do. The people from the Xiaoyao school slowly walked up. Ling Yuma took out her long blade. The third choice is for us to kill all of your Tian family members here. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding noise quieted down for a moment. At first, Luo Tian was startled by the powerful aura emanating from these people. But after hearing Ling Yuma's words, he immediately laughed out loud. Kill all the people of our Tian clan. Just the few of you, or the motley crew of the Starry School. Ha ha ha, don't make me laugh to death. There were indeed many students in the Starry School. However, most of them were delicate flowers in a greenhouse that had not experienced the wind and rain. Even when they fought, they were all independent and rarely cooperated with each other. As for the outer yard students, 90% of them had not even reached the fasting stage. Chapter 1744. Xiaobao's Reinforcements. 2. On the other hand, on the Tian clan side, not to mention the hundreds of golden elixir cultivators, they could easily crush a large group of students and mentors. Even those cultivators who didn't need to eat had come from the edge of a knife, and their hands had been stained with countless lives. Their cooperation with each other was also impeccable. How could these inexperienced students contend against them? Therefore, after Mu Yan and the others said this, not just Luo Tian, Jiang Taihong, and the cultivators under the Tian clan all laughed. Even Mang Baichuan and the other Starry School teachers looked worried. How was it possible to kill everyone in the Tian clan? Mentors as tough as Qi Ming had already stepped forward and shielded Mu Yan and the others behind him, telling them to quickly retreat into the crowd. Mu Yan was touched. Just as she was about to speak, she saw a spaceship land in the sky. Fatty Zheng, who had lost a lot of weight, and his lackeys walked down one by one. However, the person walking at the very front was not Zheng Little Fatty. Instead, it was a little doll who looked like a celestial child carved from jade. Seeing Mu Yan, the little baby immediately pounced over and pounced into her arms. Mu Yan touched Xiaobao's head. She did not carry him, but held his little hand. Is it done? Xiaobao just nodded and did not speak. Little Fatty Zhang's lackeys ran over excitedly and said, "Boss, it's all done." Ha ha ha, with our young master here, how could it not be done? Tisk tsk tsk, the boss is the boss. It's fine if you're strong, but even your son is so awesome. Fatty Zheng walked to Mu Yan's side and whispered a few words. Mu Yan nodded and lowered her head to smile at Xiaobao. Xiaobao, you did well. Xiaobao's exquisite and beautiful face was expressionless, but his pair of blue eyes were bright and sparkling like stars. Being able to help his mother was the happiest thing for him. When the spaceship started to descend, Luo Tian was still a little surprised. When he saw the baby in Fatty Zheng's group, he immediately showed a look of disdain. Luo Tian, Jun Mayan, don't tell me that you think that you can contend against my Tian family with these several wastes. Ha ha ha, don't make me laugh my head off. Why don't you take a look at how many people my Tian army has? You want to kill all of us. Unless you immediately summon a few thousand people. In that case, there might still be a sliver of hope for victory. Ha ha ha. Just as Luo Tian's laughter faded, he heard his subordinate exclaim, "What? What is that?" Luo Tian's complacent mood was interrupted, and he glanced at his subordinate with displeasure. However, she still followed the direction of his hand and looked towards the sky. However, when he took a closer look, his eyes widened and his face was filled with shock. In the sky, a dense group of spaceships was flying towards the school of the Emperor Star. Before Luo Tian and the others could react, the flying ship had already arrived above the school of the Emperor Star. It was descending slowly. The leading spaceship was extremely large, and it was decorated with jewels and pearls, looking extremely gorgeous. In the middle of the ship, there was a large, glittering word, Zhu. This was the ship of the richest man in the Azure Blue Realm, Zhu Fugue. But why would Zhu Fugue's spaceship come here? Moreover, why would there be so many spaceships? What do they want? Luo Yu swallowed. Sixth sister, are these the reinforcements that you asked Xiao Bao to bring? Chapter 1745. Did they come to repay a debt of gratitude? 1. Where did this come from? Isn't this a bit too many ships? If there are hundreds of people on each ship, then the total number of people on these ships is no less than the Tian family. But where did Mu Yan find so many reinforcements? The people of the Xiaoyao sect all look at Mu Yan. However, Mu Yan's expression is even more shocked than they are. She looks at Xiao Bao and Fatty Zheng. Xiao Bao and Fatty Zheng both shake their heads. No, the people we arranged haven't come yet. This time, the people of the Xiaoyao sect are dumbfounded. If it's not Mu Yan's people, then who are on these ships? Could it be the Tian family's helpers? Thinking of this, Yun Ruhan and the others' faces become extremely serious. Even if it's only the Tian family, they will have to pay a heavy price to break out of the encirclement. If there are double the number of people, then today, the people in the Tai Yi Square are full of bewilderment, guessing who the people on these ships are, and why they came. At this time, the largest luxurious ship's protective cover slowly opens, and a gray-haired but spirited old man slowly walks down from it. Behind him, there are more than 10 practitioners dressed in brown uniforms. As soon as Luo Tian sees this old man, he frowns, and the bewilderment in his eyes deepens. When the old man comes in front of him, he immediately asks bluntly, "Housekeeper Zhu, what are you doing? My Tian family is in the middle of a proper business, and you came here with such a large force. Do you want a piece of the pie?" Housekeeper Zhu strokes his beard and chuckles. Lord Luo must be joking. My Zhu family is not interested in the shady business that your Tian family is doing, so why would I want a piece of the pie? This is clearly looking down on the Tian family's unscrupulous methods. Luo Tian is furious, but he can't help but sigh in relief when he hears that the old man won't interfere. Since you're not going to get a piece of the pie, what's the meaning of Housekeeper Zhu bringing so many ships here? Housekeeper Zhu, Lord Luo might not know, but our family's master has just reunited with his granddaughter who has been missing for many years. As he speaks, there's a mournful expression on his face. Our family's miss has been wandering in the Yanwu continent all these years, suffering a lot in that barren land without spiritual energy. But thanks to a kind-hearted person who took her in and taught her, improving her strength, she had the opportunity to ascend to the cultivation continent and become a member of our master's group. Luo Tian frowned and said impatiently, "What does old Master Zhu recognizing his granddaughter have to do with you coming here to obstruct my Tian family?" Steward Zhu smiled like a Maitreya Buddha and continued to speak slowly. "Don't be anxious, Lord Luo. I haven't finished speaking yet. The person who saved my young mistress in the Yanwu continent is now in the Starry School. Our young miss is here to thank her benefactor." Luo Tian said angrily, "Is there a need to bring so many people to thank our benefactor? You've brought all of the Zhu family subordinates here, right?" Steward Zhu said, Lord Luo is mistaken. These people aren't from our Zhu family. Instead, he came with our young Mississippi. What do you mean by coming with your young miss? Who were these people? Tell me clearly." Luo Tian wanted to stop them, but as soon as he moved, he was stopped by the 2 Golden Core experts beside Steward Zhu. Without waiting for Luo Tian to get angry, Steward Zhu brought the cultivators behind him and strode towards Mayan and the others. Chapter 1746. Here to repay a debt of gratitude. 2. But when he passed by Meng Baichuan, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Chief Meng, I heard that the Starry School can't even buy any pills or treasures in the azure blue world and can't trade with other shops. Meng Baichuan lowered his head in shame. It's my fault as the chief. But even if I have to go bankrupt, I won't let the school be like this forever. Before he could finish, housekeeper Zhu had already interrupted him. How about this, from now on, all the pills, talismans, treasures, spiritual herbs, and beast cores of the Starry School will be sold to you at 50% off in our shops. W.H. What? Meng Baichuan was dumbfounded. Housekeeper Zhu continued, we will also buy all the treasures that the Starry School sells at market price. If the Starry School students don't have a place to train, the Zhu clan has a secret plane in the azure blue world that we can open to you. This time, not just Meng Baichuan, but all the teachers and students in Tai Square were dumbfounded. Was this a joke? Was the Zhu clan going to take all the expenses of the Starry School? That's right, as the richest family in the azure blue world, the Zhu clan indeed had the ability to do so. But the Zhu clan was not related to the Starry School at all. Why would they work so hard to help them? Luo Tian, on the other hand, was furious. Old Zhu, how dare you? Isn't your Zhu clan clearly going against my Tian clan by doing this? Housekeeper Zhu laughed, still smiling like a Maitreya Buddha. How can that be? These are all the dowry that our master told us to give to the young lady. How the young lady likes to use them is her business. Meng Baichuan stuttered, why is the Zhu clan helping the Starry School? Housekeeper Zhu replied, of course it's because our young lady's savior is in the school. Luo Tian leaped forward and shouted angrily, who is the savior of your family's young miss? Tell me. Let's see how you repay me after I kill him. Housekeeper Zhu ignored Luo Tian and continued to lead the group forward. He walked to Mu Yen and bowed deeply. When he raised his head, his eyes were already a little wet. Miss June, thank you for your great kindness to my Zhu family. Mu Yen frowns, her face full of suspicion. Master Zhu has already thanked me for saving Zhu Guanyong. No, it's not our young master, it's our young miss. Steward Zhu exclaimed excitedly, Miss June, not only did you save our young master, even our master's long-lost granddaughter was found because of you. Mu Yen is even more confused, your miss. But I don't know your young miss. Her words had just left her mouth when suddenly, a sobbing female voice rang out from behind Steward Zhu. Miss, we finally found you. Hearing this voice, Mu Yen suddenly opened his eyes wide, almost not daring to believe his ears. Then, Steward Zhu slowly moved to the side, revealing a delicate and pretty girl standing behind him. The girl was dressed in white, and her eyes were lively. When she walked leisurely, she looked like a dancing snow goose. But at this moment, this smart and lively girl walked step by step towards Mu Yen with tears in her eyes. When she slowly knelt down towards Mu Yen, she finally could not hold back her tears and said, Snow Goose of the Nether Fire Army, greets the young miss. Chapter 1747. The Nether Flame Army pays respect to the miss, pays respect to the little master. 1. Mayan's heart violently beats uncontrollably. She feels as if a clap of thunder has exploded in her head, leaving only a buzzing vibration. Her head is in a mess, and everything in front of her has become blurry. She almost wonders if everything that is happening at this moment is a dream or reality. Why are you here? After a long time, she finds her voice. Where are the other people of the Nether Flame Army? Almost as soon as she finishes her sentence, densely packed people begin to pour out from the spaceships that are parked around them. Every one of them is wearing the same clothes. The red lines on the black background are like a raging fire burning in the night, illuminating the light that leads to hope for people. There are clearly thousands of people coming down from the spaceships. But their ranks are lined up neatly, without a trace of disorder, and have a tacit understanding. But the expression on everyone's face is one of uncontrollable excitement, and tears. A few of them have already burst into tears the moment they jump off the spaceship and see Mayan. The thousands of people quickly divide into 4 lines. The 4 people at the front, 2 men and 2 women, have familiar faces, just like in the past. Shui Yan also returns to her position with tears in her eyes. Soon after, thousands of people kneel down towards Mayan. The ink camp of the Netherflame army pays respect to the Miss, pays respect to the Little Master. The Great Void camp of the Netherflame army pays respect to the Miss, pays respect to the Little Master. The Tianji camp of the Netherflame army pays respect to the Miss, pays respect to the Little Master. The commander of the Netherflame army pays respect to the Miss, pays respect to the Little Master. 2,000 people shout in unison, shaking the heavens and the earth, resounding through the sky. Mayan stares at this scene in a daze, her eyes a little moist and warm. For a moment, she can't say a word. Suddenly, her hand is gently pinched, and Xiao Bao's choked voice, which he tries his best to suppress, comes to her ears. Nyangqin, they're back. Yes, her Netherflame army, her close relatives and friends have returned to her and Xiao Bao's side. Mayan tries her best to suppress the excitement in her heart, and hoarsely says, "All of you, get up. Walala." With just one command, the 2,000 people seem to have a telepathic connection. They all stood up in unison and stood perfectly straight on the spot. However, their gazes were fixated on Mu Yan and Xiao Bao. Her eyes reddened, and tears flowed down uncontrollably. 1 year. It had been more than a year. They crazily cultivate in the Yinwu continent, improving themselves day and night, just so that they can catch up with the Miss, and reunite with the Miss and the Little Master in the Shuzhen continent. Now, they had finally seen the young Miss that they had been longing for. Their Netherflame army finally had a backbone again. Yan Haotian takes a deep breath, taking a step forward, he gestures with his hand and lips. The commander of the ink camp, Yan Haotian, greets Mississippi. 697 people from the ink camp have ascended, 697 people are present, willing to obey Mrs. command. Bai Chen stepped forward, Great Void Battalion Commander Bai Chen greets Mississippi. 523 people from the Grand Void camp have ascended. Now, 523 people are here. We are willing to follow Mrs. orders. Ru Yan's face was covered in tears, but she still suppressed her sobs and said loudly, Heaven's Secret Battalion Commander Ru Yan greets Mississippi. 395 men from the Tianji Battalion have ascended, and there are 395 men in total. They are willing to obey Mrs. orders. Feng Haitang, Everlasting Battalion Commander Feng Haitang greets Mississippi. 357 men from the Everlasting Battalion have ascended, and there are 357 men in total. They are willing to obey Mrs. orders. Chapter 1748. The Netherflame army pays respect to the Miss, pays respect to the Little Master, too. After the 4 people finish reporting, thousands of people suddenly shout in unison again. 1,972 people of the Netherflame army have all arrived. From now on, we are willing to obey the Miss's command, vow to follow and never betray. Vow to follow and never betray. Vow to follow and never betray. One after another, the heaven-shaking shouts are not slogans, nor declarations, but their unwavering vow. After going through trials and tribulations, they finally found their master and their young Miss. From this moment on, the Netherflame army has been revived. From now on, the invincible, fearless, and unstoppable legendary military soul will return to the world. Sixth sister, who are these people? Luo Yu finally comes back to his senses with great difficulty and stutters as he asks. He was really stunned by the shocking scene just now. Although he has always known that his sixth sister is powerful. But seeing 2,000 people uniformly kneel before her, that kind of shock can't be described with words. Mayan says hoarsely, "They are people I know in Yanwu continent. Like you, they are my most important family in this world." Luo Yu and the others initially see Mayan crying as she looks at these people, and their hearts are still a little sour. They always feel that their little junior sister, sixth sister, is going to be taken away. But hearing Mayan say this now, they are immediately overjoyed, no longer jealous. And the Nether Flame Army, who were originally solemnly lined up, after hearing Mayan's words, their tears flow even more fiercely. Many people can't help but throw themselves at them. "Boo hoo hoo, Master, little senior, I miss you so much." For example, Mayan's cheap disciple Liu Beiyu. Xiao Bao looks at Liu Beiyu, who is crying with snot and tears, in disgust. But when he pounces over, he still lets him hug him. "Boo hoo hoo, little senior, I really thought I wouldn't be able to see you. You don't know how hard it has been for more than a year." Mayan sees a tall and handsome youth walking towards her from the crowd, and the Nether Flame Army makes way for him. Shen Jinglin's eyes are red, looking at the increasingly beautiful girl, and he can't help but choke with sobs. Yan, you and Xiao Bao have grown up. Brother. Mayan's nose is sour, she wants to hold back her tears, but she still can't stop them from falling. "Big brother, I miss you so much." Those relatives who were left behind in the Yanwu continent, Mayan had also longed to reunite with them, but she always felt that it was so far away. Back then, she had left behind 1,000 spirit molding pills and thousands of spirit raising pills for the Nether Flame Army. Originally, he thought that even if they could ascend, it would be impossible for there to be so many of them. Originally, he thought that it would be at least a few years before they could meet again. 2, 5 Junior, 5, and Nether Flame Army. The Nether Fire Army ran to catch up with Mu Yan and Xiao Bao. The moment that imposing manner that could shake the mountains and rivers disappeared, everyone in the Tai Yi Plaza who was dumbfounded from shock finally recovered. Luo Tian, Luo can Luo Tian Luo Luin. He thought that it would be easy to take away Mu Yan and the people of Yaoguang branch. However, he didn't expect that there would be a mishap along the way. Lang Yuemo glanced at Luo Tian and could not help but burst out laughing. What did that Tian or Luo guy say? Junior, if you master, Tian Junior, Tian 2, you, I too. Chapter 1749. Ha ha ha, you see, isn't my junior sister making people appear for you now? Luo Tian glares at Mayan, gnashing his teeth. So what if I make these people appear? Do these people have the qualifications to contend against my Tian army? Ha ha ha, don't make me laugh to death. Look at the configuration of your Nether Flame Army. More than half of them are at the first or second stage of abstinence, and the remaining 30% haven't even reached abstinence, just a group of body-forging wastes. As he speaks, Luo Tian suddenly lets out a carefree and contemptuous laugh. Mayan, do you really think that you can win with more people? To deal with this group of wastes, my Tian family doesn't even need a core formation cultivator to crush you all. Hearing that, the Nether Flame Army reveals an angry expression. But no one refutes or speaks, instead, they uniformly look at Mayan. Mayan wipes away the tears on her face, the corners of her mouth slowly hooking up into a lazy arc. Nether Flame Army, heed my order. Yes. Since someone wants to experience the strength of our Nether Flame Army, then let's fulfill their wish. As soon as her voice falls, her figure has already floated up, landing on the top of the hall closest to Tai Square. The Tian Mo Chin appears in her hands. Slender, jade-like fingers are placed on the strings, slowly plucking. The sound of the chain is melodious. Graceful feather activates. In a split second, a familiar feeling surges in the hearts of every Netherflame Army member. It's like an inexhaustible power has been injected into their bodies. Their spiritual power, their divine sense, their movements, their strength, all seem to have been raised by a level. The Tianji unit and the Chongqing unit quickly retreat. The Ink camp and the Taishu unit quickly move forward, standing in front of the Tian army. In the Netherflame army, not everyone is a combatant. The Ink camp and the Taishu unit are responsible for fighting. The Tianji unit is responsible for intelligence. The Chongqing unit is responsible for logistics. Luo Tian sees that there are only 1,000 or so opponents left, and he convulses with laughter. Ha ha ha, you are a group of wastes, your strength is lower than my Tian army, and your number is half of my Tian army, do you still expect to win? The Tian family practitioners behind him also burst into laughter. The outcome of this battle was obvious. There was no suspense at all. Luo Tian's malicious gaze sweeps over Mayan above the hall, loudly mocking, Jun Mayan, I heard that you are the strongest support in the history of Azure Blue Realm. However, even if it's you, it's impossible for a bunch of trash to contend against my Tian clan. We'll only know who's the trash after we fight. Mayan plucked the strings faster and faster, and the sound became more and more urgent. But her posture and expression became more and more languid and indifferent. Then, he heard her call softly, Jun Machin. Mu Yan rarely calls out Xiao Bao's full name. When she said the name, the people of the Xiaoyao sect couldn't react for a moment. Not to mention the Starry School students, they did not even know who Mu Yan was calling. However, no matter if it was Little Bao or the members of the Netherflame army, they immediately straightened their backs when they heard this name while their gazes burned, and all of them seemed like ferocious beasts that were accumulating strength and waiting to attack. The Bixia sword in Xiao Bao's body was unsheathed, and with a leap, he had already arrived in front of the Netherflame army. Seeing this, Luo Tian was stunned for a moment, then he laughed so hard that he covered his stomach. Ha ha ha, Jun Mayan, you can't be thinking that adding one more child can change anything, right? It's still a small explosive joke, isn't it awesome? The appearance of the Netherflame army makes me feel like I'm on fire, but this is just a small climax, it will definitely slowly and thoroughly slap that toad's face. Monthly votes, only monthly votes can cure Z's body of staying up late to write every day. Love you guys, more. Chapter 1750. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Any random person from my Tian family army can crush a brat like him to death. Many of the Starry School's teachers and students also looked worried. Someone even shouted at Mu Yan, asking her to call Xiao Bao back from the battlefield. They were willing to fight with the Netherfire army. However, the response she got was Mayan's melodious smile, but her voice was resolute and without a reply. The Netherfire army needs a commander to become a real army and defeat powerful enemies. And Jun Machin is the only commander of the Netherfire army. So, of course he can't come back, let alone retreat. Luo Tian laughed even louder. A 5-year-old kid as the commander, what kind of rubbish army is this? Is it the baby army? Ha ha ha. The cultivators in the Tian army looked at each other and laughed. Their faces were relaxed, without any nervousness or fear of the upcoming battle. The people from the Starry School wanted to persuade her, but found that Mu Yan's expression was so determined. The expressions of the Netherfire army were even more determined than Mu Yan. Their gazes landed on the small figure in front of them. There was not the slightest bit of doubt, not the slightest bit of contempt, only worship and trust. In the entire Tai Square, perhaps only the people from the Xiaoyao school knew why. That their nephew was a 5-year-old kid. That their nephew was not qualified to lead the army. Ha ha ha. Just wait for the slap in the face. After laughing, Luo Tian suddenly revealed a sinister expression and waved his hand in the air. Everyone, attack. Crush these so-called Netherfire army soldiers one by one. Ha, I remember Patriarch said that our plans in the Azure Cloud world were obstructed by this group of fellows, and that's why we failed at the last step. Today is the time for you to make a contribution. As long as you kill all these guys, the leader will definitely reward you handsomely when we return. Kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. The Tian army shouted in unison, then took out their weapons and attacked the people from the Taishu camp and the Ink camp. Luo Tian leisurely sits on a chair brought over by his subordinate. He raises his head to look at the ceiling of the hall. Jun Mayan, if you still have a little brain, then take your son back as soon as possible, then kneel down and kowtow to beg for mercy. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless if I hurt your precious son. Before he could finish, a scream came from the crowd. There was also the sound of flesh being cut open. And this cry was clearly coming from his side. Luo Tian looked over in shock, only to see a sword flash pass through Lord Tian's body. In the blink of an eye, it had sliced through the throats of 5 Inedia cultivators, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The battle cries in the center of Tai Square shook the sky. But the surrounding people were all speechless, completely dumbfounded. Oh my god. Was this a fucking 5-year-old? Was this the combat power a 5-year-old should have? Although he already knew that Jun Mayan's son wasn't simple during the 3-courtyard tournament. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the princes of the Lan clan empire and the successors of the 5 great clans to hold him in such high esteem. However, in the hearts of the crowd, no matter how powerful he was still just a 5-year-old child. How powerful could he be? However, at this very moment, everything that was happening before their eyes had completely overturned their imaginations. Is this a fucking baby? Chapter 1751. This is clearly a super expert with the strength of a gold core stage. Ah. Luo Tian suddenly sprang up from his chair, shouting in alarm and anger, split half of the people to deal with that little doll, kill him for me. Right. Even if that little doll is more powerful, facing the siege of nearly 1,000 fasting stage cultivators, could he still escape unscathed? As for that Netherflame army, they are just a motley crew, a bunch of trash. The remaining Tian family army is more than enough to deal with them. Luo Tian's calculations are very good. But he doesn't know that at this time, the Tian family army on the battlefield is suffering unspeakably. Because they don't know when it started, they only feel that their hands and feet are getting heavier and heavier, and the circulation of spiritual power is getting more and more sluggish. But their opponents are the complete opposite of them. Although these people's cultivation isn't high, everyone's cooperation is extremely tacit. In this ever-changing, cruel and bloody battlefield, they can actually leave their backs to their companions without the slightest hesitation. This is absolutely impossible for the selfish and greedy Tian family army, who are only good at burning, killing, and plundering to seize immediate benefits. Moreover, it is reasonable to say that these Netherflame army in front of them are only at the first or second stage of fasting stage, and there is even a small portion of them who are trash at the body forging stage. With such a low cultivation, the spiritual chi in their bodies should be extremely scarce. In such an intense battle, they simply can't hold on for long. But what's strange is that after fighting for so long, the strength of these Netherflame army hasn't decreased in the slightest. Their spiritual power seemed to be endless and would never dry up. On the contrary, their bodies are getting heavier and heavier, and the circulation of spiritual power is getting more and more difficult. Their physical strength and Dantian spiritual chi are madly consumed, and right now, they only feel that the battle is getting more and more difficult. Every Tian family army's face is filled with astonishment. At first, they didn't understand how a group of trash whose cultivation should be so much lower than theirs could actually gradually make them unable to fight back. Until they suddenly look up and see June Mayan on the distant roof. It's the sound of a zither. It's the musical assistants. Luo Tian unwaveringly raises his head to stare at the girl on the roof of the hall, simply unable to believe what's happening in front of him. The originally melodious zither sound has now turned into the sound of a powerful army, swallowing mountains and rivers. And when these zither sounds fall into Luo Tian's ears, it's like a death knell, making his heart sink little by little, and making the blood of his entire body turn ice cold. This was Azure Blue Realm's #1 support. How could the support of a musician be so powerful? On the other side, Xiao Bao, who was being besieged by nearly 1,000 people, was completely at ease. No matter how high his cultivation was, it was impossible for him to deal with so many high-level Anidia cultivators. But the problem was that he could use sword kinesis flight. Seeing that the situation was not good, the Bishia sword carried its little master and soared into the sky, hovering high in the air. The Tian family army below was instantly dumbfounded. They couldn't fly on swords, and they didn't have any flying magic treasures. A normal person wouldn't be able to jump so high and let the attack land on Xiao Bao. However, when they turned around and wanted to give up on Xiao Bao to deal with the Nether Flame army, the Bishia sword once again whistled as it charged down. There was a flash of saber light and sword shadows. 5 or 6 screams rang out and blood splattered everywhere. After going back and forth like this a few times, the Tian family army was all trembling in fear. Facing this one and only opponent, they actually cowered together, not daring to move at all. Chapter 1752. A great battle came to an end in an unimaginable manner. Luo Tian's knees went soft and he stumbled towards the chair behind him. But because he was too flustered, he fell on his butt. More than 2,000 Tian family army soldiers were lying in a pool of blood. Some were unconscious, and some were tied up. In just a short 2 hours, they had all lost their ability to fight. The Starry School students were all dumbfounded at the scene. When Mu Yan floated down from the palace and landed on the ground, she held Xiaobao's hand. Thousands of Netherfire army soldiers lined up on both sides, as if they were welcoming their queen and highness, watching her walk over slowly. Everyone's eyes were filled with envy, respect, worship, and madness. It was like a raging fire was about to burn. This was their Azure Blue World's #1 assistant, Jun Mu Yen. This was their Starry School's greatest pride, a monstrous king. To be able to be in the same generation and become classmates with such a person, they might be jealous and envious, but it was more like a legend that they could boast about for the rest of their lives. Seeing Jun Mu Yen walking towards him, fear and panic flashed across Luo Tian's face. He crawled up from the ground on all fours and shouted fiercely, Jun Mu Yen, what do you want to do? Do you think that your Netherfire army can sleep peacefully after defeating my Tian family army? Don't forget, our Tian family still has hundreds of golden essence cultivators. Yes. He still had hundreds of golden essence cultivators by his side. The power of each golden essence cultivator was not something a group of fasting cultivators could compare to. Even though there were many golden essence cultivators in Starry School, many of them specialized in alchemy and talismans. What about the Tian family's golden essence cultivators? They were all elites that the family leader had recruited from all over the world. Every one of them was a main attacker. There were even quite a few who were once well-known figures before they were recruited by the Tian clan through threats and promises. He, Luo Tian, had so many golden essence cultivators in his hands, why would he be afraid of Jun Mu Yen? Thinking of this, Luo Tian straightened his back. He sneered at Mu Yen. Jun Muyen, your Nether Fire army is so arrogant, do you have the guts to fight the Tian family's Golden Essence leaders? Muyen unhurriedly says, I wouldn't dare. I really don't want to fight with these Golden Core leaders of your Tian family. Ha ha ha. You finally know fear. Luo Tian looked up to the sky and laughed out loud. His forehead was still dripping with cold sweat from fear. At this moment, his entire horse face was twisted sinisterly, but it's too late to be afraid now. All of you, attack. Kill all the Nether Fire army members. Whoever kills the most will be heavily rewarded when we return. However, when Luo Tian gave the order, he found that most of the Golden Core cultivators behind him did not move. Are you deaf? Did you not hear my order? Or have you all forgotten what you have in the hands of the Patriarch? Luo Tian roared furiously at the people behind him. However, he discovered that most of the Golden Core commanders were staring at a spaceship that had landed in the corner of Tai Square. The first to step down from the ship was Xing Little Fatty's brother, Xing Jiaming. Behind him, there were many servants of the Xing clan supporting the elderly, the frail, and the young as they walked down the stairs. Seeing these people, the Tian family's Golden Essence commanders all had tears in their eyes. They completely forgot where they were and directly pounced forward. Chapter 1753. Mother, why are you here? Sob sob sob, husband, we finally get to see you again. Lin why are you here? Tian Haibo, why is he willing to let you out? The reunited family members hugged each other and cried, chattering non-stop. Seeing this scene, Luo Tian was so scared that his soul almost flew out of his body. Aren't these the family members of the Golden Essence Realm Commanders? Why are they here? Most of the talents that Tian Haibo recruited were not willing to submit to the Tian clan, but their families were forcefully destroyed and their sex declined. In order to keep these talents by his side, Tian Haibo obviously had to take advantage of their weaknesses and coerce them. And the family members of these Golden Essence Realm Commanders were Tian Haibo's biggest bargaining chip. Most of them had been given a slow poison that had to be taken regularly. They were also locked in a hidden place by the Tian clan, and were only allowed to meet the Golden Essence Realm Commanders 2 or 3 times a year. Once the Golden Essence Realm Commanders had the intention to rebel, their families would definitely be the first to suffer. Did these Golden Essence Realm Commanders not hate the Tian clan and Tian Haibo? They definitely hated them, so much that they wanted to skin them alive and split their stalks. However, the most important people were in the hands of the other party, so they could not resist at all. But now, the family members of these Golden Essence Realm Commanders had actually appeared in the Starry School. Why was this happening? Facing the anxious and confused gazes of the Golden Essence Realm Commanders, Xing Jiaming smiled and said, "We have to thank Miss June for this. She was the one who asked us to save your family members." June Mayan, you bitch. Luo Tian suddenly roared. So what if you brought these people out? Without the antidote of the Tian clan, these old and weak people will sooner or later die miserably from the effects of the poison. Ha ha ha, do you think that this will make the Golden Essence Realm Commanders of the Tian clan rebel? Dream on. Saying that, he fiercely glared at the Gold Core Realm Commanders, immediately deal with the Nether Flame Army and capture June Mayan. Otherwise, you can only watch helplessly as your loved ones die from poison. The Golden Core Commander's eyes were filled with tears and resentment. However, looking at his own family, he could only abandon the conscience and hatred at the bottom of his heart, and pull out his blade towards Mu Yen and the others. Xing Little Fatty sneered, "If I were you, I would first check if the poison in my family has been cured." That's right, a bunch of idiots. Since our boss asked us to bring him out, how could he not have thought of this? It's just a little poison. It's nothing to our boss. Our boss had already removed it long ago. The Golden Corps commanders were taken aback for a moment before they abruptly turned to look at their relatives. One of them, a burly man who looked to be in his early 30s but had already reached the peak of Gold Corps stage, grabbed his old mother's hand and rolled up her sleeves. On her mother's skinny arm, the red line that had been jumping up and down had disappeared. The poison was really cured. The tall and sturdy man burst into tears. Mother, are you all right? The old woman's tears also streamed down her face. Changzhen, I'm fine. It's that little kid who's as pretty as a celestial child that cured me. Chapter 1754. As soon as she swallowed that tiny elixir, she felt that her throat was being strangled, and the feeling of dying at any time disappeared. Sure enough, the red thread that was slowly extending on her arm also slowly retreated. That inhumanly beautiful little baby had a cold face, didn't like to talk, didn't like to smile. However, the action of feeding her the medicine was very gentle. At first glance, one could tell that he was a very kind and good child. Later, the little boy stuck a few talismans on her body. As the talismans burned, she felt that her originally withered body seemed to have been injected with vitality, and a bit of vitality slowly emerged. Changzhen. The old woman grabbed her son Li Changgen's hand and said over and over again, Changzhen, we can't help the evildoer anymore, it's an utterly heartless thing. Otherwise, after mother dies, I won't have the face to meet the Li family's ancestors. Li Changzhen choked with sobs as he nodded, Mother, I know, I will never help that beast Tian Haiba to do anything again. That little baby and Miss June's great kindness to us, we must repay it. The old woman continued to prattle on, in the future, you must follow them to do good deeds and redeem the sins of the first half of your life. Okay, I'll listen to Mother. This kind of dialogue was carried out by almost every Jindan commander who saw their loved ones. Soon after, they uniformly came before Mu Yan and Xiao Bao, and one by one, they knelt down. Miss June's great kindness, we have no way to repay it. We only hope that we can join the Nether Flame Army for the next half of our lives, and serve Miss June to repay your kindness. We also ask Miss June to give us a chance, and let us repay the sins we owe. In the process of these Jindan commanders' loyalty to the Tian family, because of Tian Haibo's threat, they had also committed many sins. Each of their hands was stained with the blood of innocent people. Such a sin was not something that could be made up for by saying that it was out of his control. Mu Yan touched Xiao Bao's head, and said warmly, Nether Flame Army's commander, what do you say? Xiao Bao's little face was stiff, his icy blue eyes swept over the 100 Jindan cultivators present, and he said coldly in his crisp, childish voice, if you want to join the Nether Flame Army, you can. But you can only start from the lowest rank of soldiers. From now on, no matter what you do, you must listen to the orders of the 4th Battalion leader. Anyone who thinks too highly of themselves and refuses to be disciplined will be punished. From now on, whoever dares to help the evil do evil and kill the innocent will be executed. Those who dare to betray the Nether Flame Army at the sight of profit will be executed. He was clearly just a 5-year-old child, but when the word punish came out of his mouth, it was like a thunderclap that struck the heads of every Golden Corps cultivator. It was deafening. They trembled as they met Xiao Bao's icy blue eyes, but they felt that the one looking at them was not a little child, but a high and mighty god. He could see through them from the inside out, and he could control their life and death at any time. This was the commander-in-chief of the Nether Flame Army. At this moment, they had completely forgotten that the person in front of them was a child. They only wanted to prostrate themselves before him. Of course, there were also those who had gradually abandoned their conscience in the slaughter and plunder. They had originally begged to join the Nether Flame Army just to get some benefits. Chapter 1755. But now that they've been intimidated by Xiao Bao's 3 executions, they're scared witless, and they promptly retreat from the crowd. There's also a portion of people who don't want to continue doing evil, but they're also unwilling to give up their core formation cultivator's dignity to give in to a little fasting brat, so they also silently retreat. In the end, there are only 24 core formation cultivators who remain. But this time, everyone who remains has clear eyes and resolute expressions. In their eyes, there's remorse, rejoicing, determination, and also infinite hope for the future. They not only sincerely want to repay the debt of gratitude and redeem their sins. It's also because in the battle just now, they've seen the formidable strength of the Nether Flame army. Perhaps, just by looking at cultivation and personnel, the Nether Flame army is just an ordinary army. But when Jun Mayan and Jun Machin join this army, it will become a completely different and frightening powerhouse. Perhaps one day in the future, this army will shock the entire Shuzhen continent. And they want to become one of them before that. Xiao Bao looks at them for a while. After confirming that their will is unwavering and that there's no flicker in the depths of their eyes, he separately assigns them to the 4 battalions of the Nether Flame army, under the command of Yan Haotian, Bai Chen, Feng Haitang, and Ru Yan. Yan Haotian and the other 3 accept the core formation cultivators as subordinates. There's no trace of timidity on their faces, but each and every one of them is nervous. With such powerful subordinates, they have to work harder and become stronger as soon as possible, so that they can shoulder the responsibility of a battalion commander, and live up to the expectations of the Miss and the Little Master. Luo Tian sees that the Tian family's core formation commanders have defected one after another, and some even directly rely on Jun Mayan. For a moment, he's so angry that he almost faints. Rebel, all rebel. Luo Tian screams loudly, "Have you all forgotten how formidable and powerful the Lord is? Daring to betray the Lord, have you ever thought about what will happen to you? It's fine if he doesn't speak." The core formation commanders are immersed in joy and sadness, forgetting his existence for a moment. But as soon as he speaks, the hateful gazes of all the core formation commanders are fixed on him. Luo Tian's voice stops abruptly, beads of sweat the size of beans dripping down from his forehead. Meeting the core formation commander's devouring gazes, he retreats in horror. What do you want? I'm warning you, don't act recklessly, otherwise the Patriarch will never let you off. Then, the eyes of these Golden Core commanders who had been oppressed for a long time had already turned red. They didn't care what he said at all. They all rushed forward and beat up Luo Tian and Tian Haibo's trusted subordinates as if they were venting their anger. Shrill screams could be heard from time to time, accompanied by the splashing of blood and the cracking of flesh and bones. The students on Tai Square couldn't help but shrink their necks. They felt as if their bones were hurting as well. After a quarter of an hour, the Golden Core cultivator finally finished venting and retreated with red eyes. The leader, Li Zhangzhen, carried Luo Tian, who was covered in blood and on the verge of death. He throws Luo Tian in front of Mu Yan and Xiao Bao. "He's Tian Haibo's biggest lackey, Miss and Little Master, please deal with him." Luo Tian faintly opens his blood-stained eyes and glares unwaveringly at Jun Mayan. You can't kill me. I am the Patriarch's trusted aide, and my sister is the Patriarch's most beloved concubine. Killing me is equivalent to declaring war on the Tian family." Chapter 1756. Pfft, do you think we're afraid of the Tian clan? Leng Yuma sneered. "Even if that old dog Tian Haibo is here, we'll still beat him up." Luo Tian was not angry but laughed instead. "Ha, cough, ha ha ha, you lowly idiots, don't you know what the Tian clan represents? The Tian family isn't just the Azure Blue Realm's Tian family. In the Purple Cloud Realm, the Tian family is also an illustrious family. Our Tian family's ancestor is a tribulation transcendence almighty. If you really offend the Tian clan, not to mention a mere carefree team, the Netherfire army, even the entire starry school will be annihilated. Luo Tian said, Jun Mayan, don't blame me for not reminding you. As long as you have the slightest bit of intelligence, you should obediently submit to my Tian family and offer a humble apology to our patriarch, asking for his forgiveness. Otherwise, everyone here will not have a good ending. And you? He pointed at the group of Gold Corps commanders and gnashed his teeth, his eyes filled with hatred. All of you just wait. Once I return to the patriarch's side, I'll definitely dismember all of you traitors into 1,000 pieces. And your family, I'll let you see how I torture them to death right in front of you. The expressions of the Golden Corps commanders instantly became very unsightly. Their relatives also shed tears of fear when they recalled the days of captivity and torture. Even the starry school teachers and students were filled with righteous indignation, but they did not dare to kill Luo Tian. Because they knew that Luo Tian was speaking the truth. The few clans were doing well in the Azure Blue world not only because they were powerful. It was also because they had a powerful backer behind them. Housekeeper Zhu frowned. Luo Tian, are you threatening our young mistress and her benefactor? Luo Tian laughed shrilly again. Zhu, I know you have a backer in the Purple Cloud realm. But your backer is powerful only because he is respected and everyone is willing to give him face. But in terms of strength, my Tian clan's ancestor only needs one person to destroy your entire Zhu clan. So I'm warning you, if you know what's good for you, you better not speak. Because if we really offend the Tian family, even Zhu Fugue would not be able to bear the consequences. Manager Zhu's face alternated between green and white, but he didn't say anything in the end. Because in the Ziyun realm, the Zhu family's strength was indeed inferior to the Tian family. Seeing that everyone was rendered speechless by his words, Luo Tian became even more arrogant. He even forgot about the pain in his body. He imagined how he would torture these people later, how he would make them kneel in front of him and beg for mercy, and he felt a burst of joy in his heart. However, at this moment, a thunderous roar resounded in the air. I wonder if I, Nalan Qing, have the qualifications to offend your Tian clan. Luo Tian was startled. He suddenly looked up and saw a few figures descending from the sky like lightning. Seeing who it was, Luo Tian's pupils suddenly constricted, and his entire body trembled uncontrollably. Following that, shouts after shouts could be heard coming from the sky. I wonder if I, Murong Bai, have the qualifications to offend your Tian family. I wonder if I, Duan Xiangyang, am qualified to offend your Tian family. Chapter 1757. I wonder if I, Lu Zhenjiang, have the right to offend the Tian clan. I wonder if I, Feng Yi, have the right to offend the Tian clan. In the blink of an eye, 5 figures had already appeared in the sky above Tai Square and slowly descended. 5 torch-like eyes stared coldly at Luo Tian, their eyes filled with sharpness and murderous intent. Luo Tian's entire body trembled. Suddenly, he felt his crotch heat up, and a yellow liquid slowly flowed out from between his legs. At this moment, there was only one word in his mind: I'm done for. Nalan Qing and the other 4 looked at Luo Tian in disdain, then turned to Mu Yan and Xiao Bao. Before they could greet each other, the little kids in their arms jumped down one by one and ran towards Xiao Bao. Boss, we're here to see you. Boss, is someone bullying you? We're here to support you. Yes, boss, we're here to help you. Whoever dares to bully you, we'll beat him to death for you. Boss, we missed you so much. It's all Dad and Mom's fault for not letting me come to see you. Mayan and Xiao Bao are quarreling incessantly with each other. Xiao Bao frowned and said in a low voice, too noisy. As soon as the 3 concise words came out, the little fellows immediately covered their own mouths and kept quiet. They even reached out their little hands to cover the mouths of others. They wouldn't quarrel. They wanted to be the most obedient little brothers. Mu Rongbai and the rest felt very upset about the fact that their lawless little ancestor was like a little puppy in front of Xiao Bao. He might as well turn his head away. Out of sight, out of mind. Nailan Qing looked at Mu Yen and stroked his beard. Miss June, I didn't expect the Tian clan to be so crazy and come to Starry School to cause trouble. We didn't come earlier and scared Miss June, the crowd in Tai Square thought. I'm really sorry. We're the ones who got scared. The Miss June you speak of can only scare others. Mu Yen smiled. It's all right. It's quite interesting. At least the Tian clan's trouble allowed her to reunite with the Nether Fire Army. Just based on this point alone, she was in a really good mood. Nailan Qing coughed lightly. If Miss June wants to make a move against this Tian family's lackey, you don't have to worry at all. If anyone wants to pursue you because of this matter, my Nailan family will bear the responsibility. The same goes for our Murong family. The Duan clan is also willing to ensure the safety of Miss June and the Starry School. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth raises into a shallow arc. Really? I can deal with the Tian family at will. Nailan Qing sneered and said, relax, a mere Tian family, my Nailan family still doesn't put them in my eyes. Furthermore, the Tian family brought this upon themselves. You can deal with Tian Haiba's lackeys however you like. If Tian Haiba or the people from the Purple Cloud World's Tian family dare to ask a single question, my Murong family will let them know who is the #1 family in the Azure Blue World. A bright and beautiful smile blossomed on Mu Yan's face, then many thanks to the patriarchs. As she spoke, she looked at Li Zhongzhen who was standing behind Yan Haotian. I'll let you do it. Li Zhonggen's eyes lit up, and then tears appeared in his eyes. His father, his sisters, and his family were all forced to their deaths by the heartless Tian clan. Now, the only family he had left in this world was his old mother. Yet for the sake of his old mother's life, he still had to work for his enemy. Chapter 1758. It was Luo Tian who had brought troops to force the Li clan. Li Zhongzhen wanted to tear Luo Tian into pieces even in his dreams. But he also knew that the Tian clan was such a powerful force that not everyone could afford to offend. He thought that he would never have the chance to take revenge with his own hands. Unexpectedly, the young mistress had given him the task of killing Luo Tian. Li Zhongzhen walked towards Luo Tian step by step, a blood-stained long sword in his hand. Luo Tian placed his hands on the ground, shaking his head as he retreated desperately. His face was covered in snot and tears as he begged for mercy. No, don't kill me. I can give you all my treasures. I'm willing to do anything for you. Please don't kill me, don't kill me, ah. Luo Tian raised the knife in his hand and swung it down. A head covered in blood rolled to the ground. Li Zhongzhen knelt on the ground with a thud and wailed. Father, sister, uncle, I've taken revenge for you. I've finally taken revenge for you. On Tai Square, the cries and laughter of many Golden Essence Realm commanders and their families rang out. Then, the other Golden Essence Realm commanders also picked up their swords and killed Tian Haiba's trusted subordinates one by one. The show of the Tian clan surrounding the Starry School and forcing Mu Yen and the others to submit finally came to an end. Nailan Qing and the others had originally wanted to ask Xiao Bao how he had taught their precious grandchildren to allow them to improve so quickly. But Mu Yen and Xiao Bao had just reunited with the Nether Fire Army and obviously had a lot to say. Nailan Qing and the others hesitated again and again, but in the end, they still suppressed all the doubts in their hearts. Under Meng Baichuan's arrangements, they stayed in the sleeping quarters of the School of the Emperor Star. Before parting, Nailan Qing and the others said to Mu Yen once again, "You don't have to worry about the Tian clan. The 5 clans have already sent a letter to Tian Haiba, telling him not to cause trouble for you. If he dares to provoke the Starry School again, the 5 clans promise that we will definitely make him suffer a great loss. As for the Tian clan of the Purple Cloud World, humph, with the 5 clans' guarantee, even the ancestor of the Tian clan will not dare to act recklessly." Nailan Qing and the others also knew how powerful the Tian family was in the Azure Blue Realm, and Tian Haiba's cultivation was also extremely strong. He was at the first level of the nascent Soul Realm and was about to enter the second level. This level of cultivation was even higher than Feng Yi and Duan Xiangyang. Nailan Qing was afraid that Mu Yen and the people from the Starry School would be anxious because they had offended the Tian clan. They also wanted to be on good terms with Mu Yen and Xiaobao, which was why they kept assuring her. Mayan's smile is sincere and affectionate, but her eyes are somewhat bottomless. "All right, then I would like to thank the several masters once again." Devour numerous flying ships carried the people of the Xiaoyao School and the Nether Fire Army back to the Alcade branch. The sudden appearance of so many people, if it was any other place, it would definitely not be able to accommodate them. But the Alcade branch was different. In the Alcade branch, even including Xiaobao, there were only 8 people at most. Countless palaces were still empty. The Nether Flame Army only needed to clean up a little and they would all be able to settle down. However, no one was in a hurry to clean up their rooms. Instead, they surrounded Mayan with tears in their eyes, telling her about their experiences in the past year. In reality, just as Mayan had guessed, the reason why so many people in the Nether Flame Army could ascend was because of the spirit molding pill and spirit raising pill that she had left behind. Chapter 1759. Moreover, before Mu Yen ascended, she had already taken out the spiritual vein that she had absorbed into the space and buried it in the Dark Flame Valley. With the spirit molding pill and spirit raising pill to transform their bodies, coupled with the nourishment of the spiritual vein, most of the Dark Flame Army successfully reached the peak of the pre-celestial stage. They crossed the threshold and touched upon the path of body-forging cultivation. Later, when they went through the heavenly tribulation, another group of people were injured. In the end, there were 1,972 people who came to the Xiuzhen continent. Such a large wave of people with weak strength coming to the Xiuzhen continent should have been extremely eye-catching. If they were not careful, they would become the target of public criticism. But their luck was extremely good. The captain of the Great Void Battalion, Shui Yan, turned out to be the long-lost granddaughter of Zhu Fugui, the richest man in Blue World. Zhu Fugui's wife left him only a foolish son, Zhu Quanyong. Zhu Fugui had countless illegitimate children, but the one he loved the most was Zhu Quanyong, this mentally retarded son. Just because this son was the only child left by his wife. However, few people knew that Zhu Fugui's wife had actually given birth to a daughter. But because of an accident, his daughter disappeared for no reason and was never found again. Coincidentally, at that time, Steward Zhu was handling some business in Minlu Jia and accidentally saw the jade pendant that fell from Shuiyan. Steward Zhu had followed Zhu Fugui for many years and naturally recognized that it was the late Madame Zhu's personal item at a glance. Moreover, Shuiyan's appearance was too similar to Zhu Fugui's wife, so there was no need to doubt her identity. At that time, Steward Zhu did not make it public, but ordered the Zhu family to secretly protect Shuiyan. If she encountered any trouble, they must do their best to help, and he went back to inform Zhu Fugui. Because of the Zhu family's protection, the Dark Flame Army quickly gained a foothold in Minlu Jia and marched into Blue Cloud World. They absorbed a lot of forces in Minlu Jia and also developed a lot of forces. The Celestial Secret Unit and the Longevity Unit had even secretly planted their men in the various sections. On the other side, Zhu Fugue learned that his wife had a granddaughter wandering outside. He immediately had mixed feelings and hurried to Blue Cloud World to meet Shuiyan. In this way, the Dark Flame Army received the full help of the Zhu family, and the forces under them and their own strength developed rapidly. Luo Tian ridiculed that most of the Dark Flame Army's cultivation was only at the first or second level of abstinence. To devour. However, he did not know that these people use less than 2 years to reach the first and second level of Anidia realm. And now, in Minlu World and Azure Cloud World, other than those great families and sects, the other places had already been infiltrated by the Nether Flame Army. Now, in these two realms, when mentioning the Nether Flame Army, it was no longer an unknown small faction. But even so, when the Xiaoyao squad was in the limelight at the Jasper Forest gathering, when Mayan's name resounded throughout the 3 realms of Canglan, Qingyun, and Minlu, they still didn't hesitate to gather and rush over to pay their respects to Mayan and Xiaobao. 1,952 people, not one less. He did not regret entering the Nether Flame in this life. They had always been part of the Nether Flame Army, and they would always be part of it. Miss and Little Master would forever be the leaders of the Nether Flame Army. That Tian family is really too much. They actually dared to make a move against young Miss and young Master. It's a pity that we are not strong enough, otherwise we would definitely go and destroy their nest. Chapter 1760. Miss, how did you and Little Master survive this past year? What happened in the Wuang Mountains? Mu Yan suppressed the emotions and longing in her heart. The corners of her lips curled up slightly as she said in a clear voice, "Let's not talk about this first. Tonight, we still have one more thing to do." "What is it?" "Please instruct me, miss." Even the members of the Xiaoyao sect looked over curiously. Mayan flips her wrist, and the Tian Mo Qin appears in her palm. Her slender, snow-white fingers lightly pluck on it, producing a melodious sound. She turned to Yun Ruhan and the others and smiled. "Senior brother, let's go to the Tian family tonight and wipe out Tian Haiba and his lackeys." The entire square was silent for a moment. The fiery red sunset shone on everyone, as if they were plated with a layer of golden red. Yun Ruhan opened her mouth, and after a long while, she stammered, "Junior, are you serious?" That was the Tian family. This was the 4th great clan of the Azure Blue Realm, the Tian clan that had a nascent soul cultivator. The curve of Mayan's mouth becomes more and more languid, more and more wanton. "What? You don't dare." "Ha ha 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 ha." Ling Yuma waved the blade in her hand and was the first to laugh. Good, good, good. How can I not dare? This old lady has been suppressing a bellyful of anger, waiting to chop Tian Haiba, that old tortoise. Little junior sister, you're really more and more to my liking. Luo Yu grinned and said, "I was still thinking that with 6th senior sister's temper, how could she just let him off when he stepped on our heads?" "That's right, that's more like 6th senior sister's style." Thinking back to the whole unitary sect, those people who were stripped naked and had sex naked. Do you think that the reputation of the demonist Jun Mayan came casually? Qin Zhou, I'll listen to little junior sister. Ling Yuxing, we are the unfettered 7. If we're going to act, of course we're going to act together. On the other hand, Chu Moli's smile was much warmer and gentler. There was a clear smile in his eyes. "I didn't get to join in the liveliness this morning. What a pity. That's good. Looks like I'll have more materials for my paintings." Yun Ruhan looked at her excited juniors and rubbed her throbbing forehead. How could he casually say that he wanted to wipe out a great family of the upper realm? Was this a fucking decision a human could make? Just a quarter of an hour ago, the patriarchs of the Nalan family, Murong family, Lu family, Duan family, and Feng family were still earnestly comforting her junior sister, telling her not to be afraid of Tian Haibao's revenge. Just 2 hours ago, before Ning Yaoguang left, she gave her little junior sister an array disc so that she could activate it and ask for help when Tian Haibao came for revenge. But what about his junior sister? Just by turning around, he was going to wipe out Tian Haibao along with the entire Tian family. What could he do? He was also in despair, right? Apart from accompanying them in their nonsense, what other choice did he have? A brilliant smile blossomed on Mu Yan's face. Her fingers lightly plucked the strings of the zither once again. The sounds of nature, accompanied by the sweet-sounding music, reverberated in the ears of every member of the Dark Flame Army. Nether Flame Army, listen up. Hear. The entire Yaoguang branch trembled from the sound of the shouts. Tonight, trample the Tian family and execute that old thief Tian Haibao. We solemnly obey the Mrs. Command. Wherever the Nether Flame Army went, they won every battle, sweeping everything before them. This whirlwind engulfed the entire Yanwu continent. Chapter 1761. One day in the future, he would also set off a monstrous wave on the cultivation continent. Ever since Luo Tian brought the majority of the Tian army and set off, Tian Haibao had been calmly waiting for the good news to arrive. He had no doubt that there were hundreds of golden core cultivators. Even with the addition of more than 2,000 Tian family troops, they still wouldn't be able to bring back the 7 people from the Alcade branch. Once he gets his hands on her, he'll definitely make Jun Mayan and those Yaoguang branch bitches who don't know what's good for them suffer. He'll definitely let them know the consequences of offending him, Tian Haibao. Master, you seem to be in a particularly good mood today. Luo Yingman leaned into Tian Haibao's arms and said in a coquettish voice, "Is there any good news?" Tian Haibao looked at the beautiful and charming appearance of the woman in his arms. After playing with her for a while, he smiled and said, "You have a good younger brother. He can share my worries. If this matter is really done well, it seems that Luo Tian's position and cultivation will also rise." Luo Tian's innate talent was not high. The reason why he was able to advance to the 8th level of Golden Core was mainly because Luo Yingman was doted on by Tian Haibao's side. Tian Haibao loved Luo Yingman and gave him a lot of medicinal pills. Therefore, if Luo Tian wanted to raise his status and cultivation, he could only rely on Tian Haibao's rewards. Hearing this, Luo Yingman immediately revealed a shy and happy smile. "It's Tian's duty and honor to share your worries. Patriarch, you are too good to us siblings. In the future, Tian will definitely do his best for Patriarch, and this servant will also serve you even harder." He, how are you going to serve me? Just as Tian Haibao was about to pounce on her, the room door was suddenly knocked open without warning. The steward of the Tian family stumbled in. Patriarch, it's bad." Tian Haibao was just about to raise his spear and go into battle. How could he not be angry when his mood was suddenly interrupted? He turned around and glared coldly at her with a murderous glare. "Get out." Normally, after being reprimanded by the family head, housekeeper Tian would have run away. However, at this moment, his eyes were filled with fear, his face pale as he spoke in a trembling voice, "Family head, it's not good. All the properties of our Tian family in the Green Forest and Green Forest have been purchased by the Dark Flame Army. Even the shops in the Azure Blue World have been squeezed out by the Nether Flame Army and acquired a small portion of them. Patriarch, many of the stewards in those villas are relatives of the Tian army. Arranging them in these positions was to make the Tian family army work harder to be loyal to you, Patriarch. But now that these shops are all gone, the Tian family army will rebel sooner or later. Furthermore, our Tian clan's expenses are huge. Without the income from these farms and shops, how are we going to sustain ourselves in the future? before housekeeper Tian could finish his words, Tian Haibo was already furious. He slammed his hand on the newly added mahogany table. With a loud bang, the thick table broke into pieces, and debris flew everywhere. Luo Yingmon's clothes were not on. At this time, she was splashed by the debris, and her snow-white skin split open several times. She immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. However, how could Tian Haibo care about her now? He roared at housekeeper Tian, preposterous. What is that nether flame army? They think that with the support of the Zhu family, they dare to target our Tian family. Good. Good. That's great. Gather the Tian family army immediately. I want to swallow every single member of this nether flame army alive. Chapter 1762. Housekeeper Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead and said hurriedly, Clan leader, you are right. Let's call back the Tian army now and snatch back those shops immediately. We might still be able to make it in time. Although the Nether Flame Army and Zhu clan had used legal methods to acquire Tian clan's businesses. But the people of the Tian family were already used to plundering. Was it bought? Then snatch it back. Anyway, he, Tian Haibo, rarely used crystals to buy things in the azure blue world. If he wanted it, he could just snatch it back. Who dared not to give it to him? Then he would break up the other party's family and break up their families. Devour Tian Haibo laughed coldly and said, send someone to the Starry School immediately and ask Luo Tian to act faster. Just a few brats and girls from the Starry School. After so long, they still haven't brought the people back. What does he do for a living? Yes, yes. Housekeeper Tian's face lit up. He glanced at Luo Yingman and spoke up for Luo Tian. Perhaps Lord Luo Tian wanted to teach the Starry School a lesson. That's why he delayed. Tian Haibo nodded. He did not doubt this at all. Luo Tian came late. It must be because he wanted to toy with the Starry School's teachers and students. It would be best if he could bring the entire school under the Tian clan. Housekeeper Tian was about to leave. He was thinking about how to snatch back his family's lost profits from the Nether Flame Army. Just as he reached the door, he suddenly bumped into a Tian clan guard who was rushing in. Steward Tian staggered backward from the impact. Just when he was about to lose his temper, the guard ignored him and rushed to Tian Haibo. Master. Clan leader. The Tian clan army has been completely wiped out. Hearing this, Tian Haibo was stunned. Housekeeper Tian even laughed out loud. Are you joking? The Tian clan army had more than 2,000 grain-fasting cultivators and hundreds of golden core cultivators. You said that they were completely wiped out. The guard seemed to have thought of something. His face was full of fear and his teeth chattered. Yes, the entire army, completely wiped out. Luo Tian. Luo Tian is dead. Over 100 Jindan stage commanders have all defected. It's the Dark Flame Army. That Dark Flame Army is Jun Mayan's subordinate. It was them who defeated 2,000 of my Tian family's cultivators. Dead, injured, captured. Not a single one escaped. He was only patrolling outside and did not participate in the battle. When he heard the commotion and rushed over, he realized that the Tian clan army had been completely wiped out. Tian Haibo only felt a huge explosion in his head and his face turned red. Are you joking? He didn't believe a single word of what his guard said. If you dare to mislead people with your lies again, do you believe that I won't crush you right now? The guard desperately shook his head. I'm telling the truth, I'm telling the truth. Tian Haibo raised his hand and was about to slap the guard to death, but at this moment, a white light suddenly shot into the room. It turned into an exquisite paper crane above him. Tian Haiba took the paper crane and looked at it. Immediately, he was so angry that he saw stars. The blood in his body surged crazily, and his eyes bulged out, filled with a crazy killing intent. Jun Mayan. Nether Fire Army. How dare you destroy my Tian army? I will tear you to shreds. Housekeeper Tian scrambled over and picked up the paper crane that Tian Haiba had thrown on the ground. He opened it and was dumbfounded. Chapter 1763. Mayan flips her wrist, and the Tian Mo Chin appears in her palm. Her slender, snow-white fingers lightly pluck on it, producing a melodious sound. Her gaze turns to Yun Ruhan and the others, and she chuckles, "Senior brother, tonight, we'll go to the Tian family, and wipe out Tian Haiba and his lackeys in one go." The entire square goes quiet for a moment. The fiery red setting sun shines on everyone, as if plated with a layer of golden red. Yun Ruhan opens her mouth, and after a long while, she stutters, little junior sister, are you serious? That's the Tian family. The fourth great family of the azure blue world, the Tian family that has a nascent souled stage cultivator. The curve of Mayan's mouth becomes more and more languid, more and more wanton. What? You guys don't dare. Ha 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 ha. Lang Yuma waves the broadsword in her hand, and is the first to face the sky and laugh. Good, why wouldn't this old lady dare? This old lady has a belly full of anger, waiting to chop that old turtle Tian Haiba. Little junior sister, you're really becoming more and more to my liking. Luo Yute says with a smile, I was thinking that, with sixth senior sister's temper, how could she casually let someone step on our heads? That's right, this is more like sixth senior sister's style. Thinking back to the Gue sect, those people who were stripped naked, painted naked, and ran around naked. Do you think that the reputation of the demonist Jun Mayan came so casually? Qin Zhou, I'll listen to little junior sister. Ling Yuxing, we are the unfettered seven, of course we'll act together. Chu Moli's smile is much gentler, and there's a clear smile in his eyes. It's really a pity that I couldn't join in the liveliness this morning. This is very good. It seems that I'll have my painting material again. Yun Ruhan looks at her group of enthusiastic, belligerent junior brothers and sisters, and immediately holds her aching forehead. Casually saying that they want to wipe out a great family of the lower realm. Is this a fucking decision that a human can make? Just a quarter of an hour ago, the patriarchs of the Nalan family, Murong family, Lu family, Duan family, and Feng family were still earnestly comforting her junior sister, telling her not to be afraid of Tian Haiba's revenge. Just 2 hours ago, before Ning Yaguang left, she gave her little junior sister an array disc so that she could activate it and ask for help when Tian Haiba came for revenge. But what about his junior sister? Just by turning around, he was going to wipe out Tian Haiba along with the entire Tian family. What could he do? He was also in despair, right? Apart from accompanying them in their nonsense, what other choice did he have? A brilliant smile blossomed on Mu Yan's face. Her fingers lightly plucked the strings of the zither once again. The sounds of nature, accompanied by the sweet-sounding music, reverberated in the ears of every member of the Dark Flame Army. Nether Flame Army, listen up. Here. The shout was so loud that the entire Yaguang branch was shaking. Tonight, we'll flatten the Tian family and kill that old bastard, Tian Haiba. Yes, miss. Wherever the Nether Fire Army went, they were invincible and invincible. This whirlwind engulfed the entire Yanwu continent. One day in the future, it would also set off monstrous waves in the Shuzhen continent. Ever since Luo Tian set off with the majority of the Tian family's army, Tian Haiba has been calmly waiting for the good news. He has no doubt that with over 100 Jindan stage cultivators and more than 2,000 Tian family's army, they wouldn't be able to bring back those 7 people from the Yaoguang branch. Once he gets his hands on them, he will definitely let Jun Mayan and those Yaoguang branch bitches, who don't know what's good for them, suffer. He must let them know the consequences of offending him, Tian Haiba. Urgent notice. Chapters 1756 to 1760 have been revised due to an error in the upload. Those who have read it, please take a look again, lest you can't connect to the following chapters. I'm sorry. Chapter 1764. Master, you seem to be in a good mood today. Luo Yingman leaned into Tian Haiba's embrace, speaking in a coquettish voice. Is there some good news? Tian Haiba looked at the woman in his embrace, and played with her for a while, before chuckling, you have a good brother, he can share my worries. If this matter is really done well, it seems like Luo Tian's position and cultivation will also rise. Luo Tian's innate talent was not high, and he was able to reach the Type 8 Golden Core mainly because Luo Yingman was doted on by Tian Haiba, and Tian Haiba had bestowed him with a huge pile of pills. Hence, for Luo Tian's position and cultivation to rise, he could only rely on Tian Haiba's kindness. When Luo Yingman heard this, she immediately revealed a shy and joyful smile. It is Tian's duty and honor to share your worries. Family head, you are too good to us siblings. In the future, Tian will definitely do his best for family head, and this servant will serve you even harder. To devour. How are you going to serve me? Tian Haiba was about to pounce on her, when suddenly, the door was slammed open. The Tian family steward scrambled in, family head, bad news. Tian Haiba was about to raise his spear, and was suddenly interrupted. How could he not be furious? He turned around and glared coldly, his gaze murderous. Scram! Normally, after being reprimanded by the family head, Steward Tian would have run away. However, at this moment, his eyes were filled with fear, his face pale, as he spoke in a trembling voice, family head, bad news. All the properties of our Tian family in the Green Forest and Green Forest have been bought by the Dark Flame Army. Even the shops in the Azure Blue World have been squeezed out by the Nether Flame Army and acquired a small portion of them. Patriarch, many of the stewards in those villas are the relatives of the Tian army. Arranging them in these positions was to make the Tian family army work harder to be loyal to you, Patriarch. But now that these shops are all gone, the Tian family army will rebel sooner or later. Furthermore, our Tian clan's expenses are huge. Without the income from these farms and shops, how are we going to support ourselves in the future? Before housekeeper Tian could finish his words, Tian Haiba was already furious. He slammed his hand on the newly added mahogany table. With a loud bang, the thick table broke into pieces, and debris flew everywhere. Luo Yingman's clothes were not on. At this time, she was splashed by the debris, and her snow-white skin split open several times. She immediately let out a blood-curdling scream. But at this time, Tian Haiba did not care about him. He roared at Steward Tian, how dare you? What was the Nether Flame Army? You think that with the support of the Zhu family, you dare to have ideas on my Tian family? Good. Good. That's great. Gather the Tian family army immediately. I want to swallow every single member of this Nether Flame Army alive. Housekeeper Tian wiped the sweat off his forehead and quickly said, Master, you're right. Let's call back the Tian army now. Let's immediately snatch back those shops. Maybe we can make it in time. Although the Nether Flame Army and the Zhu family had used legal methods to acquire the Tian family's properties. But the Tian family had long been used to robbing. Bought away. Then snatch it back. Anyway, Tian Haiba, rarely used crystals to buy things in the green-blue world. If he wanted it, he could just snatch it back. Who would dare to not give it? Then he would break up the other party's family and break up their families. Chapter 1765. Tian Haibo sneered, "Send someone to the Starry School immediately and tell Luo Tian to act faster." Just a few brats and girls from the Starry School, yet they still haven't brought the person back after so long. What does he do for a living? Yes. Housekeeper Tian smiled and glanced at Luo Yingman, speaking up for Luo Tian. Maybe Lord Luo Tian wants to teach the Starry School a lesson, that's why he's delayed. Tian Haibo nodded. He did not doubt this at all. Luo Tian came late, it must be because he wanted to toy with the Starry School's teachers and students, and at the same time, see if he could bring the entire school under the Tian clan. Housekeeper Tian was about to leave, thinking about how to snatch back his family's lost benefits from the Nether Fire Army. Just as he reached the door, he suddenly bumped into a Tian clan guard who was rushing in. Steward Tian staggered backward from the impact. Just when he was about to lose his temper, the guard ignored him and rushed to Tian Haibo. "Master! Clan leader! Tian clan army! Tian clan army is completely annihilated." Hearing this, Tian Haibo was stunned. Housekeeper Tian even laughed out loud, "Are you joking? The Tian clan army had more than 2,000 fasting cultivators and hundreds of golden core cultivators. You're saying that they're completely annihilated?" The guard seemed to remember something and his face was full of fear, his teeth chattering. "Yes, the entire army, completely annihilated. Luo Tian. Luo Tian is dead." Hundreds of golden core cultivators all changed sides. It's the Nether Fire Army. The Nether Fire Army is Jun Mayan's subordinate. It was them who defeated the 2,000 cultivators of the Tian clan. Dead, injured, captured. None escaped. He was only patrolling outside and did not participate in the battle at all. When he heard the commotion and rushed over to check, he realized that the Tian clan army was completely defeated. Tian Haibo only felt a loud bang in his head and his face flushed red. Are you kidding? He did not believe a word of what his subordinate said. If you dare to spread lies again, do you believe that I will crush you now? The guard desperately shook his head. I'm telling the truth, I'm telling the truth. Tian Haibo raised his hand and was about to slap the guard to death, but at this moment, a white light suddenly shot into the room. It turned into an exquisite paper crane above him. Tian Haibo took the paper crane and looked at it. Immediately, he was so angry that he saw stars. The blood in his body surged crazily, and his eyes bulged out, filled with a crazy killing intent. Jun Mayan. Nether Fire Army. How dare you destroy my Tian army? I will tear you to shreds. Housekeeper Tian scrambled over and picked up the paper crane that Tian Haibo had thrown on the ground. He flipped it open and was dumbfounded. The whole army was annihilated. They were really annihilated. How could this be? That Nether Flame army is just a motley crew of level 1 or level 2 abstinents. How can they contend against my Tian army? And that Jun Mayan, she's really going too far. She actually dared to not give our Tian family any face. She even killed Luo Tian. As soon as Luo Yingman heard the news, she screamed and threw herself in front of Tian Haibo. Is Tian dead? Who killed him? Patriarch, you must avenge Tian. Chapter 1766. Tian Clan, Annihilated, 3. Before she could finish, Tian Haibo's palm was already on top of her head. Spiritual power suddenly exploded. Blood gushed out of Luo Yingman's head. Her eyes were wide open, full of disbelief. Tian Haibo kicked her body away, his face completely twisted. Jun Mayan. Jun Mayan. I'm going to tear her into pieces now. Housekeeper Tian hurriedly said, Master, please think twice. Nalan clan and Murong clan sent you a letter personally, telling you not to touch Jun Mayan and the Starry School. Master, a little impatience will spoil great plans. Our Tian clan is greatly weakened now. There's no way we can fight against the 5 clans at the same time. Tian Haibo was about to go mad with anger. Do you want me to swallow my anger? That bitch destroyed the Tian clan army that I worked so hard to build for 10 years. Housekeeper Tian grabbed Tian Haibo and persuaded him with tears in his eyes, Master, without the Tian clan army, we still have the support of the Purple Cloud Realm and you. As long as Patriarch is still here, there is no need to fear that our Tian family will not be able to regain its former glory. As for Jun Mayan and the Netherfire army, they're just a bunch of clowns. Master, as long as you do something, you can kill them. Tian Haibo breathed heavily, his chest rising and falling. After a while, the blood in his eyes faded. Yes. He couldn't act rashly. Otherwise, if he offended the 5 clans, the Tian clan would definitely be suppressed in the Azure Blue Realm. It wasn't worth it for that little bitch Jun Mayan. Good. Good. I'll let those bitches live for a while longer. Just as Tian Haibo thought of this, his feet suddenly shook. Then there was a loud bang. Housekeeper Tian, who had just stood up, lost his balance and fell directly to the ground, falling flat on his face. When Tian Haibo finally stabilized his body, the ground shook again. The roof made a cracking sound, and broken tiles and stones fell from time to time. Housekeeper Tian's cultivation was low and he couldn't dodge in time. His head was smashed and bleeding, and he wailed. Outrageous! Who is it? How dare you come to my Tian clan? Tian Haibo leaped up and quickly broke through the roof, flying high into the sky. With this glance, his bloodshot eyes almost popped out of their sockets due to extreme shock and anger. He saw that in the huge Tian family, those luxurious buildings that he had spent a lot of effort to build, were almost completely destroyed in the blink of an eye. There were burning flames and billowing smoke everywhere. There were also the figures of the Tian family's manservants, maids, and the rest of the Tian family army running in a sorry state. Tian Haibo was so angry that his whole body was trembling. Who did this? Get out here. The Tian family's main house was located in the most central district of Heaven Luo City. It was already late at night, and most of the places in Heaven Luo City were silent. But these rumbling sounds woke up everyone in the city. Most of the cultivators living in Tian Luo City rushed over to see what was going on. Soon after, these practitioners were shocked to discover that the house that had collapsed and burned was actually the biggest overlord of Heaven Luo City, the Tian family. At the gate of the Tian family, there were already thousands of people gathered. The Xiuzha that came to watch doubted if they were dreaming. That was the Tian family. The Tian family that no one dared to offend in the entire Azure Blue Realm. Chapter 1767. Tian family, completely annihilated. 4. Who was it? Which force had eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall to actually dare to make a move against the Tian family? The crowd gathered around them. Even if they were afraid, even if they were worried that they would be implicated because of the Tian family's anger, they were too curious. Moreover, there was a feeling in their hearts. If they missed this scene and missed tonight, they would definitely regret it for the rest of their lives. After Tian Haibo's rage, he quickly discovered the densely packed crowd standing around the Tian family. These people were all wearing the same uniform, with a black background and red stripes, like a raging flame burning in the depths of the pitch-black sea. That was the symbol of the nether flame. Tian Haiba's eyes were bloodshot, his eyes filled with killing intent. Without thinking, he condensed a thunderbolt in his hand and ruthlessly smashed it towards the nether flame army. However, that thunderball had yet to hit the heads of the nether flame army. The sound of a zither suddenly rang out in the air. A sound wall formed above the heads of the nether flame army, and actually directly reflected Tian Haiba's thunderball. The thunderball landed in the room that Tian Haiba had just come out of. Boom! After a loud sound, the only intact house of the Tian family turned into ruins. Tian Haiba's eyes stared at the direction of the door, his eyes dripping with blood as he gritted his teeth and said, "June. Mu. Yen. It's you." The nether flame army quickly opened up a path. The 7 people of the Xiaoyao sect slowly walked forward. Mu Yan's usual clothes were usually blue and white, with cyan as the main color. But today, she and Xiao Bao, who was holding her hand, had changed into the uniform of the nether flame army. The black and red stripes of the nether flame army uniform not only did not reduce her beauty, but instead added a bit of charm, like a flower blooming in the night. At first glance, one would be shocked and infatuated with her. But when one wanted to get closer and see that pair of deep peach blossom eyes, one would feel a bone-chilling coldness, and an inexplicable fear welled up in one's heart. And Xiao Bao, who was holding Mu Yan's hand, was usually cold and handsome, but it still made people realize that this was a cute 5-year-old baby. However, at this time, wearing the nether flame army uniform, at first glance, one would only feel that this was not a baby, but a long sword that was restrained, yet could be unsheathed at any time. As for the other 6 people from the Xiaoyao school, they were wearing ordinary clothes. Their expressions were also simple and naive, gentle and careless. It was as if they were just a group of the most ordinary young men and women, leisurely following the crowd to watch. When the practitioners who had rushed over to spectate saw the nether flame army, they did not understand who they were and why they had the guts to attack the Tian family. However, when they saw Mu Yan and the members of the Xiaoyao sect, they all gasped. "I recognize them. Aren't they students of the Starry School?" Yes, the carefree team that shone brilliantly in the Tri-Academy tournament. Damn, what are they doing here? Don't tell me they want to go against the Tian family. Ha ha ha, stop joking. They were just a group of students. Even if they had a good performance in the Tri-Academy tournament, it was only among their peers. Don't you see that none of them have even reached the golden core stage? That's right. If Tian Haiba wants to kill them, wouldn't it be easier than killing a few ants? However, there were a few people who disagreed. Look, don't they have a lot of people helping them? Chapter 1768. Tian family, completely annihilated, 5, TCH, don't you see clearly? That group of people is quite large, but most of them are only at the first or second stage of Anidia. The rest are even funnier, there are actually quite a few at the body forging stage. There are more than 2,000 Anidia cultivators under the command of the Tian family. What can a group of low-level wastes like you do? The onlookers are clamoring. But Mu Yan and Tian Haiba don't pay attention. At this time, Tian Haiba's gaze suddenly turns to the army of thousands, his eyes almost spurting flames. These are the nether flame army. Mu Yan smiles and says, "Yes, these are the nether flame army that completely annihilated your more than 2,000 Tian family troops." As soon as these words come out, the originally noisy crowd seems to have their throats strangled. It's so quiet that you can hear a pin drop. After a moment, the crowd bursts out in a loud shout. Heavens, what did I just hear? More than 2,000 Tian family troops were annihilated? No, that's impossible. That's 2,000 Enidia cultivators. Even the lowest cultivation is at the 4th stage of Enidia. Tian Haibao relied on the Tian family troops to walk sideways in Azure Blue World, and no one dares to provoke him. How could the Tian family troops be annihilated? The key is that they were annihilated by this group of people in front of us. No, this is too unimaginable. I don't believe it. But look at Tian Haibao's expression, he's really flustered and exasperated. Heavens! Could it be that the Tian family troops were really annihilated? Tian Haibao's complexion at this time really can't be described as ugly. He thinks of the Tian family troops that he had cultivated for so many years, and yet they were so easily crippled. He can't wait to tear apart this group of instigators in front of him. Good. 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 He says good 3 times in a row, each more hysterical than the last, each crazier than the last. As he speaks, the spiritual energy around his body is already surging wildly. At the same time, a powerful pressure was suddenly released. Whether it's the Nether Flame Army or the onlookers, many people are immediately on the verge of collapse, their faces pale. The coercion of a high-level cultivator against a low-level cultivator directly affects the soul. Except for those who are special, there's no way to resist it. Turning the Tian Mo Qin in Mu Yan's hand, she loosens her grip on Xiao Bao's hand, and the melodious sound of the Qin rises. Stabilizing soul, activated. Since the pressure worked on a person's divine soul. Then she will use her Shen musician skills to stabilize everyone's souls. Although the area it covered was too large, its effect was limited. However, the problem was that Tian Haibao's coercion was nothing special. It was an attack that could not be resisted with one's willpower. The sound of the zither reverberated in everyone's ears. Those who had felt like vomiting and were about to faint suddenly felt refreshed. Those in the Nether Flame Army who had low cultivation felt that their bodies were about to explode and they were about to lose their minds. But at this moment, it was as if a gurgling stream was caressing their souls, causing them to wake up all at once. Originally, most of the cultivators in the surroundings were just there to watch the show. But at this time, he is filled with gratitude towards Mayan. He only hoped that in the battle later, this beautiful girl would not be hurt too badly by Tian Haibao. As for the rest, these people had been harmed by Tian Haibao before. Now that they saw someone come to deal with the Tian family, even though they knew it was impossible to succeed, they were still filled with hope. As for the members of the Nether Flame Army, they were originally filled with admiration for Mu Yan. They only felt that Mu Yan's actions were a matter of course. Chapter 1769. Tian family, completely annihilated. 6. There's nothing in this world that Miss can't do. They've always firmly believed in this point, without the slightest doubt. The Nether Flame Army, with the Everlasting Battalion and Tianji units insignia embroidered on their chests, hurriedly runs over and joins Mayan. The squad leader of the Everlasting Battalion has a smile on his face. He bows and says, "Miss, fortunately we didn't disappoint you. All the thunderbolts were successfully detonated." Behind him, the Tianji unit's people are also not to be outdone. They grin and say, "Our Tianji unit hasn't been idle either, we've found the Tian family's warehouse. Sure enough, there are a lot of heavenly treasures inside. We've already followed Mrs. instructions and looted everything clean. We've also searched all of Tian Haibao's trusted aides and stewards. Sure enough, not everyone has a storage ring. There were a lot of Chinkuan bags piled up in the house, and we've taken them all in passing. Our harvest is really quite a lot. Hee hee." Housekeeper Tian, who has just escaped from the ruins, is already on his last breath. When he hears this, his eyes roll back and he faints again. Tian Haibao didn't expect that his pressure attack would be so easily dissolved by Mayan's zither sound. He's already very angry, but now that he sees that there are many people in the crowd supporting Mayan, and he hears the words of the Everlasting Battalion and Tianji unit, he's simply going mad. The hatred in his heart is churning like lava. He's no longer flustered and exasperated, but curls up the corners of his lips, revealing a sinister smile. June Mayan, I originally gave you many chances. But you insist on refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. You destroyed my Tian family's army, making my years of painstaking efforts go to waste. I crazily want to dismember you into 1,000 pieces, but due to the warnings of those old things from the Nalan family and the Murong family, I don't intend to act rashly for the time being. Ha 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 ha. I didn't expect you to be this stupid. I didn't go looking for you, but you came knocking on my door. Ha, the things you plundered from my Tian family, I'll immediately make you spit it all out with interest. Saying that, Tian Haiba suddenly takes out a bone whistle, puts it to his mouth, and blows it. Not long after the whistle falls, one of the collapsed ruins is suddenly blasted open. Then, hundreds of cultivators jumped out and stood behind Tian Haiba. Tian Haiba looked at the cultivators around him and revealed a satisfied smile. Since 5 years ago, I have trained this group of confidants who will never betray me. I originally thought that I would not use them before going to the Purple Cloud realm. June Mayan, it's your honor that I let your Nether Flame army die in their hands. Everyone turned to look at the group of cultivators and their expressions changed. These hundreds of cultivators were all at least level 6 abstinence realm. Moreover, 10 of them were at the peak of the Golden Core realm. The strangest thing was that every single one of them had lifeless eyes and stiff expressions, but when Tian Haiba gave the order to kill, they suddenly became murderous and bloodthirsty. These trusted subordinates of Tian Haiba were not cultivators, but slaughter puppets whose souls had been extracted and turned into Tian Haiba's marionettes. A group of puppets that didn't know pain, didn't fear death, and only knew how to kill and enter the palace. It's completely conceivable how frightening they would be. Especially that group of puppets at the peak of the Golden Core realm, it's even more unimaginable. Chapter 1770. 7 Unfettered Demons. 1. June Mayan and the members of the Xiao Yao squad are merely children who haven't reached adulthood. The Nether Flame army did not even have a cultivation above the 5th level of Anidia. Even if there were thousands of them, how could they contend against them? Not to mention, there was still Tian Haiba, a nascent soul stage expert. The surrounding cultivators quickly averted their eyes, unwilling to see the tragic scene of blood splattering everywhere. Looking at the slaughter puppet rushing over, Mu Yen faintly smiles and sits down cross-legged. His slender, snow-white fingers gently plucked the strings, and melodious music reverberated between heaven and earth. Everyone was on the verge of collapsing. What kind of situation was this? You still have the mood to play the zither. Even if you are the strongest support in Azure Blue Realm. But he couldn't just play the zither leisurely on such a dangerous battlefield. After Tian Haiba gave the order, he looked at Mu Yen who was playing the zither, the Nether Flame army who was quickly changing their formation, and Xiao Bao who was standing in front of the Nether Flame army, and revealed a mocking smile. June Mu Yen, I don't know what kind of scheme you used to defeat my 2,000 Tian army. I heard that you even instigated those Golden Core commanders to rebel. Ha ha ha. Unfortunately, those methods of yours are absolutely useless against my puppet soldiers. Or do you think that this is the Tri-Academy tournament, and that you can make these trash win with just the help of your music? Ha ha ha. Tian Haiba's laughter was particularly ear-piercing, but the people around him couldn't help but agree. They sighed and felt heartache. However, this kind of heartache did not last for more than a quarter of an hour before it all turned into stupefaction. That was because that group of slaughter puppets didn't gain any advantage when facing the low-level Nether Flame army. This was especially true for the 5-year-old boy, who looked like he was carved out of jade. At first, some people were worried about his safety, but in the end, they saw him stepping on a flying sword, going in and out several times. Wherever he went, those slaughter puppets were actually unable to put up a fight. They were directly struck in their vital points and completely lost the ability to fight. As for the Netherflame army, they dealt with the slaughter puppets with ease. They followed the rhythm of the zither and formed groups of 10 to deal with the slaughter puppets. In the blink of an eye, a slaughter puppet had its head chopped off. The Golden Core puppets' battle was a bit more difficult. After all, the peak of the Jindan stage and the Enidia stage were absolutely incomparable. However, even though it was a little more arduous, it only lasted a little more than a quarter of an hour. 6 young boys and girls in the Enidia stage against 10 peak Jindan stage cultivators. The result was a complete victory for the 6 carefree young masters. The onlookers were dumbfounded. Tian Haibo was even more dumbfounded. When he came back to his senses, what surged in his heart was not only a monstrous rage, but also a hint of panic. His Tian family army, his Jindan commander, his Tian family, and his slaughter puppets were all destroyed. How was this possible? How could this be? A loud explosion sounded in Tian Haibo's mind, and his rationality almost completely disappeared, leaving only a crazy killing intent. He suddenly soars into the sky and ruthlessly slaps his palm towards Mayan. Bitch, it's you. It's all your fault. Today, I will tear you to shreds. Ah! The crowd screamed in fear. He was afraid that he would see the beautiful girl's blood splattered on the spot in the next moment. They were hoping that someone from the Carefree Squad or the Netherflame army would be able to save Mayan. However, when they looked towards the Carefree Squad and the Netherflame army, they were dumbfounded. What the hell? This group of people had actually already calmly assumed the posture of watching a play. Chapter 1771. Unfettered 7 demons, 2, Ling Yuma and Luo Yu had already started searching for Tian Haibo's confidants, concubines, and lackeys in the ruins of the Tian clan. Were these people crazy? Jun Mayan's life was at stake, and they were actually doing nothing. Didn't their conscience hurt? However, they soon found out who was the one who was too foolish and naive. Just as Tian Haibo's attack reached Mayan's head, the Tian Mo Qin emitted a 7-colored dazzling light that shot into the sky. Then, the 7 rays of light converged into a beam, turning into a crystal-clear sword. A black-haired girl in black stood on the transparent sword, her hands behind her back, her hair fluttering. The moonlight shone on her crystal-clear face, allowing people to see her lazy and charming eyes, as well as the careless smile at the corner of her mouth. Tian Haibo, I am a very vengeful person. The girl's voice was clear and cold, like a pearl compass, pleasing to the ears. You shamelessly asked the Alcade branch to submit to the Tian clan. When we failed to recruit you, you wanted to drag the entire Starry School down with you, even killing innocent people. You had a business conflict with the Netherfire army in the Qingyun world. Instead of a fair competition, you wanted to kill people for money. I don't care what kind of scum you were in the past, but now that you have offended me. In that case, today, we will settle all the scores one by one. Tian Haibo raised his head and looked at the girl in the air, wanting to scold her for overestimating herself. However, for some unknown reason, an ominous premonition arose in the bottom of his heart when he met those piercingly cold and serene eyes. It was as if there was a voice in the unseen world telling him. He had been arrogant all his life, and this time, he had finally kicked an iron plate. He was finished. An hour later, the 2 fighting figures in the air suddenly separated and landed on the ground. However, the girl in black landed on her feet. Other than her pale face and messy hair, there were no injuries on her body. On the other side, Tian Haibo could only be described as miserable. His whole body was densely covered with crisscrossed sword wounds, and his clothes were completely dyed red with blood. At this moment, he was lying on the ground like a dying dog. He wanted to get up, but after moving his body a few times, he could only fall down powerlessly. His eyes were wide open and bloodshot as he muttered, "Impossible. Impossible. How could I lose? I'm at the nascent soul stage. How could I lose?" That was right. The surrounding cultivators were also screaming in their hearts. Why did Tian Haibo lose? He was at the nascent soul stage. On the other hand, June Mayan was only in the Anidia realm, and she was at most 20 years old, a student of the Starry School. How did she defeat Tian Haibo? Was everything that was happening in front of them really not a dream? There were also people who couldn't help but shiver when they saw the dense sword wounds on Tian Haibo's body. Wasn't that a little too much? June Mayan is just a little girl, a cultivator at the stage of fasting, yet she beat a nascent soul cultivator into this state. Isn't that a bit too cruel? Even the people of the Xiaoyao school couldn't help but sigh when they saw Tian Haibo's shocking wounds. Their junior sister's sword aura was obviously trained in the blood slaughter sword formation that Uncle Master left behind. Think about it, she had to face hundreds of sword auras every day. Chapter 1772. Unfettered Seven Devils, 3. How fast and terrifying was Yilingchen's swordsmanship to be able to stay in there for hours. It was terrifying. Sob, I heard from the students who came back from the 3-class competition that Mayan was nicknamed the She-Devil, but I thought it was an exaggeration. She's just a pretty girl. No matter how strong and tough she is, she can't be called the She-Devil. Now I know how naive I was. Heavens, I heard that when June Mayan came out of the Min Lu world, she killed the head of the Ning family, the overlord there. Later on, when she came to the Azure Cloud world, she messed with the Leaf Fire sect. So, is it our Azure Blue world's turn now? The Xiaoyao sect isn't to be trifled with. 6 cultivators at the peak of the Golden Core realm killed 10 cultivators at the Golden Core realm as if they were playing a game. I heard that someone named them the Xiaoyao 7. Sob, I think they should be called the Xiaoyao 7 Devils. I'm trembling. Boss June and the Xiaoyao 7 Devils, please have mercy. Please have mercy, too. Mayan was adjusting her spiritual essence and praising Xiaobao's excellent performance, when she heard the whispers of She-Devil Mayan in the crowd again. She almost fell to the ground. So, she really had that nickname back. And this time, the Xiaoyao 7 Devils. There were also people in the crowd who cried tears of joy, wantonly crying out loud. Because they knew that the Tian family was doomed this time. Truly doomed. They had been persecuted by the Tian family before, and now they had their revenge. From now on, they wouldn't have to fear the Tian family anymore. Someone went up to Mayan with tears in his eyes, wanting to thank her. However, as soon as they got closer, they saw the people of the Xiaoyao school dragging the Tian clan's lackeys, who were tied up. Looking at Tian Haibo, who was on the verge of death, everyone except Yun Ruhan, who had a headache, was very excited. Junior sister, 3rd senior brother, did you have enough material? Can we start painting now? Painting? What painting? The people who came over even forgot to thank them. They just foolishly watched as the 7 people from the Xiaoyao sect began to happily strip the Tian family's lackeys, along with Tian Haibo's clothes. During this time, some of the Tian family's lackeys also woke up and wanted to struggle. In the end, Qin Zhou, who had a silly smile on his face, knocked him out with a single punch. Then, he continued to strip him of his clothes. After everyone was stripped naked, the people of the Xiaoyao sect happily posed for them. During this time, Liu Beiyu excitedly joined in. Based on past experience, he also provided them with a few more creative moves. The people of the Xiaoyao sect immediately got into a fight with this martial nephew who had no expertise in martial arts. Especially when Liu Beiyu followed Chu Moli's example and made a painting, the people of the Xiaoyao sect looked at him with admiration. Not bad, not bad. As expected of the disciple that little junior sister has taken a fancy to. Even if his combat strength was lacking, his drawing skills were still pretty good. Moreover, the few movements that he came up with were especially lively. Look at how enchanting and charming Tian Haiba, who was covered in sword scars. The onlookers, who were standing in the wind, were speechless. As well as the Netherflame army, who were trembling as they recalled their unbearable past. They felt that this scene was so strange that it sent chills down their spines and tightened their anus. Those who wanted to scold him for being immoral immediately covered their mouths in alarm. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.